Today we're speedrunning Tasty Planet Forever. Now our speedrun starts with the cat levels, and basically the backstory for this is it's really filthy in a restaurant, so the head chef gets a prototype cleaning robot, which is a cat. And we're gonna be the ones controlling the cat, going around and eating everything like peas and cockroaches. And by the way, I do have to say, this place is absolutely disgusting with how many cockroaches they have. Like, they should definitely be closed down. I don't think this is a safe place to be serving food. But hey, I guess that's what we're here for. And our job is gonna be eating as much as possible and trying to get bigger, because the bigger we get, the larger things we're going to be able to eat. So like for these rats right now, we can't eat them just yet, but once we eat a few more things, you'll see that we can start targeting them and grow even bigger through that. So this game is basically just about being small and getting bigger as you go, and you'll also see that our perspective changes once we get big enough. So now we can see more of the area, and you can also see there are things like knives on the ground. Yes, those will damage us, but don't worry, we're going to be eating them soon enough too. For now, I'm just going to keep going through getting all these mice. I mean, there's some pretty tasty meals, and that is what a cat is supposed to do, but now we're big enough to start eating the knives, and somehow this doesn't hurt our boy at all, which is impressive. We can also take these wine bottles, and as we get bigger again, now you'll notice that we don't even see the mice, we can only see the bigger things. And I was saying that this place was pretty messy, but it is like the messiest place in the world. Why are they leaving all this bread, all these knives? This is so dangerous. It's not just a health hazard anymore. People could literally cut their foot and die. But don't worry, we're gonna make this restaurant what it needs to be, because now we're big enough to start eating the waiters. So we're gonna go through the kitchen. I mean, these waiters aren't doing much anyways, so no one's gonna miss them. Now we can start going for the chairs, and eventually we can start getting the chairs with people in them as well. And at this point, we're almost big enough to be done with this first level. I just have to eat a couple more of those. That's gonna be level complete, and now we get to 2. And you'll see that we're now onto the street, and we're gonna start out with these little dogs. We can't take out the humans right away, so the dogs will be the first thing. You know, it's the opposite of the real world where the dogs go for the cats. This time we're getting our revenge. So we'll just grab these until eventually we're able to eat humans. It's also kind of fun hearing all their screams as you're just eating them. I mean, to be fair, I'd probably be pretty terrified too. I'm not sure why the police aren't coming, or literally anybody that's trying to stop us, but there we go. We can now start taking on the people on bikes, which are just a little bit larger. And yeah, we're kind of just going through trying to take these things until eventually we will be able to get the trees, which is going to be a nice upgrade. I just can't get over all the screams that these people are doing. I mean, they're just enjoying their days. There's so many stray animals. I don't know why there's no one actually like walking the dogs, and they're just walking around on their own. But at least there's no cars we have to worry about, so those would be kind of annoying. Still, we should be getting up to tree level, and there we go. Now we can take these, and pretty much once you get to the trees for this level, you're almost done. Oh, and by trees, I guess they're bushes technically, but same thing. That is going to be that level done. Now onto level 3, and we are back into the kitchen. We did shrink down just a little bit. These different levels aren't exactly linear sometimes, but you know, we're still getting bigger. And I see all these waiters again, they're doing literally nothing. You do not need this many people working for your restaurant, so we're gonna get rid of them. You know, we're actually helping the head chef out. We're cutting costs by eating people. Yeah, maybe that isn't the greatest way to cut costs, but anyways, we're gonna go through, take all of these things, and we should be about human level in just a second. There we go. We can see that some of the people, at least the people without plates that are actually doing nothing, we can eat them, and from there it's pretty quick to get bigger. Yeah, a lot of screams going down, but I can't stop. I'm hungry, to be fair. Can you really blame me? And we are almost to the point where I think we'll grow again, and now we can really start going for these humans until we'll also be taking out these ovens. And this restaurant has really expanded. I mean, maybe it's just a different restaurant and they're using a different cat robot, but we can also start going for all the tables and the chairs, along with all the people that are sitting on them. So pretty nice meals for me. And once we get big enough, we can also start taking on these smaller tables, which are nice to get. There's one on the top and the bottom, and also all the ovens as well, which is a really fast way to get some size. We're just going through, taking all of this stuff, and we should be about done in just a second. Getting my last few, and there we go. We got to the perfect size. Onto level 4. And we are back out on the streets and also back on to eating some people. At this point, these people should just stop coming to this area. I mean, they know there's a cat that's literally eating people, and they just don't care. You can only really blame them at this point. But hey, I'm not just eating people. I'm also eating all these chairs and stuff. I mean, they were an eyesore. We don't need those on our streets. Oh, and you do see that there are actually cars in this level, so don't worry. We will get to those eventually too. But like usual, we're just slowly going up. I'm able to get the bushes and the tables now. Also grabbing some umbrellas here and there. And yeah, getting all the sides. I'm hoping we'll get to car length soon, but now we get the bigger angle, and you can see that there are a lot of bushes everywhere. You know, the city isn't the worst constructed, at least for my purposes, because it gives me a straight line of bushes that I need to eat. We'll also take these street lamps, just having to go back and forth grabbing each one. It's kind of funny because we're as big as the cars and they're not stopping or anything. We aren't quite able to eat them yet, but we can push them out of the way and they just don't care at all, which is kind of funny. But with a few more of these street lamps, there goes the cars. You guys should have ran away while you had the chance, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm also gonna take some awnings because that is a good source of getting bigger. Finally, we can actually go for the trees. Those are gonna be really nice, and you can see we are getting gigantic at this point, but it is not gonna stop anytime soon. So I'm gonna go tree by tree. We can just take out entire columns of these. It's so many, honestly. It's kind of surprising they planted all these trees when they have no grass. There's no greenery at all. I mean, at least they're trying somewhat. And now we can just take buildings. We've gotten to the height where we can eat buildings at this point. It does end a little too soon, but don't worry, we will get those again. Now, this is kind of one of the special levels where basically you will see that whenever I eat one of the macaroons that isn't brown, the game is not going to be pleased with us, but it doesn't actually matter. It's not going to affect anything but our star rating. And since this is an any percent speedrun, we don't really care about how many stars we get. But now we're at this really weird roundabout where there's just these cars going around in circles and all these people just like running to the street. I mean, I guess some of them are running away, but a lot of them are trying to get hit by cars, it looks like. Like, did someone just get hit right there? I think I just saw that. It's not like the cars care. To be fair, I guess they don't have stop signs. I still feel like you kind of should stop, but maybe that's just me. Oh, by the way, anytime we do get hit by something like a car and get that red damaging effect, it only gives us less points. It doesn't make us any smaller, so it doesn't really matter. But we're getting to the point where we should be able to take out these cars soon. I gotta kind of maintain how much speed I'm doing, not having too much, but I'm still trying to go fast most of the time. But there we go. We got all the people we need. We're done with the small fries. It's time to get the cars, and things really start ramping up from here because they give us so many meters. And then we get onto the trees and we are growing like crazy. These people that we see on the ground, we barely even see them at this point, but that looks like that is going to be all the trees. I just have to finish up a couple of cars. That's going to be that one done. On to number 7. And now we have the Tour de Baguette. Yeah, this is a level. So we start out this level by basically going for just the smaller croissants, meanwhile trying to dodge all the people riding bikes. It's kind of annoying because they're fairly well spaced out. This is also a complete waste of bread. Like, we could have fed people with this. We really didn't need to use it as a way to show your bikers where to go, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, I guess that's just what they're doing. We are almost at the point. There we go. Now we can get the baguettes. And this part is kind of hard because it is difficult to go in a straight line, especially when you're trying to go this fast. But we will take as many baguettes as possible, just cleaning up any ones we miss. And I can also go a bit slower to try to get them in kind of a straight line. Right now I'm doing just kind of bursts of speed. That way we can grab as many as possible. That one was actually pretty good right there. And these people are trying to hit me with their bikes. Don't worry. We will get our revenge soon. I just got to eat a couple more of these baguettes. And there we go. That is going to be our first biker. Now we only need a couple of more, and there's going to be that one. I think this should be our last one. That's going to get us up to the length. Perfect. On to level 8. And here it's basically just going for some more people. You know, they're trying their best to stay away from me. I actually don't even know if they are. Like, they kind of look like they're trying to run away, but they're not doing the best job at it. But there is actually finally going to be the police coming after us, at least in a little bit. For now, we're not big enough, but once we eat enough people, the police are going to be like, all right, maybe we should stop this cat that has literally been eating hundreds, maybe even thousands of people at this point, because we've been eating entire buildings. And you got to imagine that some of those buildings had a lot of people in them. But like I said, the police are now after us. That won't be a problem for us though, because we are now big enough to eat them too. So I'm just going to go along the road back and forth trying to find these police cars. There we go. Easy level. And now it is time for this, where basically it only wants us to grab the red awnings. Now that seems like a lot of work, and I don't want to have to dodge all these cars and stuff, so we're just gonna run straight through them. I mean, it's not really my problem when you think about it. It's the car's fault for being there. But yeah, we'll just go through, you know, some good old capitalism telling us that we need to get rid of the competitors' awnings. Yes, that's actually the story behind that level. It's very strange. But now we got the zombie level. Now you're supposed to only take out the zombies, but eating regular humans does make us gain size, so it's worth it as well. It might give us a little bit less points, but I don't really care. I'm just trying to finish these levels as fast as possible. Also, the cops are going to start shooting us. I mean, they're not really aiming for us exactly. They're more aiming for the zombies, which kind of makes sense. Actually, I don't know what's a bigger threat, the gigantic cat that's eating everybody or the zombies. Maybe they both are, but I may be a little bit more partial to the cat just because of how much we've eaten. I'm just saying, maybe the police officer octopuses could be doing a bit of a better job. But now on to level 11, which is going to be the last one of the cat levels. And basically the last level of each of these worlds is really cool because it takes you through an entire story. We start right back at the beginning where we're in this restaurant, and we'll get to a huge size, one that we haven't even seen so far. But you already know the drill. We're starting out with cockroaches. Not too bad. Feels sad to be this small again, but don't worry. We're going to be back to eating entire buildings very, very soon. This game, once you start getting better at it, is honestly so satisfying to do. Just moving quickly, getting everything you see, and missing less and less people. It starts out very difficult. It definitely does have a skill curve, at least when you're trying to go fast. But it's a super fun speedrun. I actually do recommend it. But now we are on to the bigger size. We're going for these rats, and soon we will also be onto the croissant and knife size. I feel like a magician when I'm eating these knives. Like, there is no way our stomach is good enough to not get cut by that and just die. But I guess we are a cleaning robot technically, so I mean, it works out. But now onto the bigger level, and you know what that means very, very soon. These waiters, they're just enjoying their job. They're like, wow, having a cleaning robot is great. They're not going to enjoy having me for long though. Hey, to be fair, if the owner decided to invest in more cleaners and less waiters, maybe none of this would have ever happened. You can only really blame him. But we are almost to that point. I can start eating a couple of these people. My cat seems to be enjoying them too. Actually, I don't know if our cat actually enjoys doing anything or if he just likes consuming. But either way, we'll grab a couple of people. We are almost to that point where we're going to be able to go out the building. And there we go. We can see that we can take out the door, which means we're now back outside in a pretty seamless transition. And that means it's time to go for all the people. Soon we will be at the bushes as well. It's kind of a really fun victory lap you get to do as well. Just going through past levels, but also a lot faster than you did before. Like you can see, we are already on the bushes and umbrellas and stuff. We did not have to eat that many people, which is very nice. And soon I will also be at the cars. You do recognize this neighborhood. Oh, it's straight trees. I do really appreciate that they just put these all in a section for me. Still, I'm not sure where their grass is. Like, they could have some, you know. I'm just saying, maybe I'm partial to grass, but I think it would make the city look better. I guess it doesn't matter at this point because everything in the city is getting eaten. But let's go. It is now car time. We can take these guys out too. Entire families gone in just less than a second. And of course, the awnings. It's nice when the game isn't telling me that I only have to focus on one color of them. There we go. There is also going to be the trees. We are now getting a huge view, and these people should definitely be running. You know, pretty much this entire game, I'm just going to be wondering why they aren't running. Like, is this gigantic cat monster not something scary? I'm just saying. I mean, it does make it nice for us, though, because it is very easy meals, at least. But now we are onto the buildings, just taking them out one by one, and our view even increases further. Because we're not just going to be able to take out buildings like this soon, but we're going to be able to take out entire neighborhoods. I mean, not just yet. We're still on the building size, but just look how fast we eat each one of these. We're definitely not even chewing. Oh, and yeah, bridges. You know, that's just like a hot dog for my boy. But we're coming up to a very big spot. Oh, that was also the Eiffel Tower. That's kind of fun. I'm sure they won't miss that at all. It doesn't really matter too much. But there we go. We are now onto city blocks. Entire city blocks. We don't even see them as buildings anymore. That is how big we've gotten. We can just go over the river without even batting an eye. Our cat is this gigantic, and there we go. It's now time for neighborhoods. So yeah, you can see how crazy this game is going to get. And this is only the first part. This is only the cat levels. They're going to get even crazier from here. But there we go. That's going to be that done. And now we're on to the octopus levels. For this, the story is basically our octopus is just chilling, but then he sees that there's a ton of litter around him and decides he's going to do something about it. So honestly, you know, he's got a really good goal at the beginning, but you'll see what happens to that. Still, just for the start, we are going to be staying close to the bottom. That way we can take up just all this litter that's just chilling there. Then we'll also be coming up towards the top. There are going to be a couple of plastic caps. And yeah, there is just so much litter. It's absolutely insane. We're going for bottle caps at this point. Like, even though our octopus will go a little power hungry, perhaps, he does have a good mission. You know, he is getting rid of all this litter, and he's honestly doing a great job at it. But we're going for all these candy wrappers that are everywhere. There are also the fish, which we can just bully by pushing down into the ground. We can't eat them yet, but we will soon. And also golf balls, of course, sitting down there, but now we're going to grow a bit, we become a lot faster, and again, we're just going to be going at the bottom. That way we can pick up a ton of easy stuff. Now, there will be some enemies for us, like some spiky fish that we have to go through, but they don't matter because I'm just going fast. Like, look at this whole colony of fish that are just dead in a second. I mean, my octopus is hungry. Just like the cat, he's got to eat. He's got to do what he's got to do, and we're just going through. And these spiky fish are kind of annoying, but we will be eating them soon. I'm going to be getting my revenge. I just got to eat some garbage first. There's also a lot of coffee cups. Does nobody use a trash can, like, at all? Or maybe recycling? I'm just saying you could, but I'm just trying to find the last few things until we can gain enough size to now actually go for these coffee cups. And once you get to this size, it really starts going crazy, because as you've been seeing through this speedrun, the bigger you get, the easier it is to get even bigger. Like, we grow at an exponential size, so it's really nice once you start getting like halfway through a level. But now finally, after taking up some stuff at the bottom, we can get these lionfish. I was wondering about their names. I was calling them spiky fish this entire time. But yeah, that's nice. We don't have to worry about them trying to eat us anymore. I guess they weren't actually trying to eat us. They were kind of just chilling and we were bumping into them. But hey, I'm still gonna put all the blame on them. And yes, there are birds. Soon we will be jumping out of the water to start taking them on. But we gotta go take some more lionfish before that happens. Just gain a bit of height, and now we can start going for the birds as well. So we'll just be hopping out of the water. They're literally just chilling. They have no idea this is gonna happen to them, and they get the biggest surprise of their lives. It's kind of fun to jump out of the water too. Just do a little trick shot, grabbing a bird in the air. It's a good time. What can I say? And we are almost to the point where we're big enough. We can just grab those things, get a couple more lionfish, and I can also grab the toilet, the tire. We are just about at that point. I need like a couple more things. I'm just trying to find the final things. And I think down here, there's going to be one more tire. There we go. So that's octopus level 1 done. But now we get to compete with dolphins. Yes, there are dolphins coming through, and they're also going to be trying to eat all these fish, which is kind of annoying because they're my food. I mean, not my food just yet. I do have to get big enough, but they'll also be going after us, and they're kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. As much as anyone else, I love dolphins, so it will be very sad when eventually I eat them too. But hey, we got to do what we got to do to get rid of all the pollution in this world, and our boy is just hungry. You already know it. So now we will be going for all of these branching vase sponge. You know, in this game, it's kind of nice because you learn the names of a lot of different fish. Like, I never knew that a parrotfish was a thing. It's kind of fun to look up in the top left and just see what things are. But we're getting bigger at this point. The dolphins are probably starting to notice that we're taking like all their food, and we can also start taking these oil drums, which is a very quick source of food. I really appreciate that one. But dolphins are now part of the menu. We have gotten big enough, so they're gonna start running away from us, but it's way too late. I hate hearing their little screams. I feel so bad. But on to the next one. At this point, it only wants us to eat garbage and not eat any of the fish. But like usual, we're just not gonna worry about that because I don't really care how many points I get. And unfortunately, even if we shouldn't eat the fish, it is gonna make us bigger faster. So I'll be taking them as well. This level is actually pretty long when you're only focusing on the garbage, but when you do it this way, it just becomes incredibly fast. I mean, we are gonna get a terrible score. We're in the negatives right now, but hey, I'm speedrunning. I can't worry about how much the game likes me. I gotta worry about going fast. And we are getting to a very good length where we can start taking out pretty much every fish in the ocean. Like these parrotfish, they don't even know what's coming towards them. And it is very nice once you're this big because you just are able to consume everything without even thinking about it. At certain points, I have to think, oh, is that thing gonna be too big for me? Should I actually go for it? But at this point, it's just everything is on the menu, and we got 0 stars, kind of as expected. But now it is laundry day. So for this one, first, we want to come up to this little island, grab all of those swimsuits, and then come back to the right where we can grab some of these red swimsuits. And I'm just going to grab a few of those, as many that have spawned, before we continue going to the left. There's going to be a couple blue and red swimsuits. We have gotten a good amount of size, so now we can finish it out with just all these swimsuits that are going through, grabbing the last one right there, and that's going to be perfect. Then we got Spear Me the Details, where we got these spear fishermen just going through and destroying all these guys, and also trying to shoot us too. Now, this level is a little annoying because the fish we're eating, they can be a bunch of different sizes, so even though they all have the same colors and stuff, you really have to pay attention to how big they are to know if you can actually eat them or not. So yeah, I'm just going through looking for one that is small enough, and these spear fishermen are not making this any easier because when they do spearfish something, it's going to go away from the map, so we can no longer eat it. But I did get a good amount of guys right there. We'll just keep going back and forth. We're also pretty big at this point, so we can take care of most of the fish out there. But these guys are relentless. They are not stopping at all. They do not care. Like, how many of these fish do you need to kill man, chill. I guess I am one to talk because I'm literally eating everything, but you know, I got a good reason to do it. Remember, we're fixing pollution, but don't worry because soon we will be going for these humans soon and it will be amazing. I especially don't like them because they're literally trying to shoot me with spears. All right, I got a special disdain for them, and they probably have a disdain for me because I am at this point stealing all of their fish and now their lives as well. Yep, we can finally go for the scuba divers, get our revenge. I don't even feel bad about this. I kind of felt bad during the cat levels, but these guys, they are direct antagonists of us. So you know what? We're just gonna do what we have to do. We're not even gonna worry about it. We can take out that guy. Should be one more. That is gonna be our final bit. Another 3 stars. You love to see it. And now we got the main course. Now in this one, you're only supposed to eat invasive species, so pretty much only the lionfish. But like one of our previous levels, we're not gonna worry about that at all. Hey, if anything is small enough, I'm gonna eat it. I'm not worrying about the invasive species today. I mean, the lionfish, we do still want to eat them because they will eat our other fish and we don't like that. We're trying to have all of this food just for ourselves. You know, it's very important, but I'm getting pretty big at this point. It's so nice during these levels where you just ignore what the game wants you to do because you just grow so fast. I mean, it's not exactly how the game intended you to play it, but I guess speedrunning in general wasn't really an intended function for at least most games. Still, only a couple more of these lionfish and that should be it. Perfect. Another negative score. You love to see it. And we have cans and cards. Okay, so now we have to go back onto these islands. We'll take a couple of cans from the right first, then we'll go to the left. Then we can also come over here, grab a couple of those cans before going all the way back. And since the map increases as you get bigger, there are certain areas where until we expand, we're not going to be able to see them. But I will take those toilets, just a nice collection of them. And we want to stay in the water as much as possible just because it makes you go much faster. But at this point, we can start taking out some old mattresses and we are at the point where we can get the cars. So perfect. Now on this level, we are back to being small, kind of sad, but we're going to start with some swimsuits because that's all we can really eat, except for these birds as well. At least we're big enough to eat them. They are very much not enjoying it. I can already tell, but hey, they should watch out below them. And thankfully for this level, we do have scuba divers again, but this time they're not going to be trying to spearfish us. I mean, there are also going to be sharks, which are kind of scary, but don't worry, I'll be coming for them soon too. Like usual though, we're just started low. We can get the tires, and it's so nice when you just get big enough to start getting like a huge collection of the stuff that's just sitting there on the seafloor, because that's just free size that we can just go through. We don't even have to think about it. I just see all these oil drums, easy size for me to pick up. Now we can also get a couple of the fish, which are nice as well. And we're getting to a pretty big size where, yeah, now we're taking on the people. And these scuba divers, they literally see this shark right here. They do not care. I guess these people in general just don't worry if they die. They just don't care if they're by anything because, you know, if they die, I guess that's just what fate had in store for them, which, you know, I do appreciate because it makes me bigger faster. We'll keep grabbing a few of these fish though, some more parrotfish. I'm trying to get up to the size where I can start getting the mattresses. That is our big goal, but just gonna have to grab a couple more people. Move that shark down. I wonder what he was thinking when I was doing that. Probably just thankful I didn't eat him, but I will be back for you. Oh, and there we go. We have increased our size, so we can just go take everything on the sea floor, of course. There's also gonna be boats that we're now seeing, and there's a lot of boats in this universe. Like, they are just constantly coming, but that will be nice for us eventually because that will be constant food for us. But now we can start taking on the tiger sharks. Every time I see the animal tiger shark, I think of that one Legend of Korra episode where Varric calls Bolin a tiger shark. But anyways, we can take out a couple of those, just keep going for the scuba drivers. And yes, there are also helicopters coming through, and I'm just waiting until I can finally start taking out these boats. I'm checking every once in a while just to make sure we aren't at that size yet, but alas, we still got to go for all the tiger sharks of the world. And there we go. I now see that we can start getting the helicopters, and you do have to do pretty big jumps to get up there. Like, that one is kind of hard, but if we get just the right amount of speed, we're able to make it up there. So we'll just do that a couple of times, take a couple of these people just one by one, and soon I will be coming for the boats too. It's kind of funny just how much I'm destroying them. Like, they're just in my way. We're just popping them up. Somehow they're not breaking, but now they're definitely gonna break because we are way more than big enough to just deal with all of them. So all these dive boats, they are just feasts for me, one by one, so easy. There's also gonna be these whale sharks. Of course, we're gonna take them as well. And yeah, our boy at this point, he's basically unstoppable. We can even take the trees that are on the mainland, which is kind of hilarious. Like, we do not care. Anything is fair game at this point. These people, they still don't care as well. And we will be taking these steel shipping containers. That is going to be a lot of size, and we're almost to the point where this this level is done, we just have to pick up a couple more of these whale sharks, and there we go, perfect. Which leads us to level 9 right here, which is going to be the dolphin revolution. Now, we're going to have all of these scuba divers, which we're going to eat, and then there will also be dolphins that are also trying to eat the scuba divers. Yeah, I guess they got fed up with them as well, but you know me, I eat anything that I can get my hands on. So whether it is a scuba diver or a dolphin that is small enough for me to eat, we're going to take them. And we'll just be going one by one. I don't want you guys to get the meals. They're trying to eat my meals. It's kind of rude, man. They should know that this is my job. They should just go do something else, hang out. I mean, if they weren't here, they wouldn't be getting eaten as well. But not too much to say about this level. Just slowly get bigger and bigger dolphins, get the scuba divers as much as possible. And finally, that should be it. Perfect. And on to level 10, where we got boats that are dumping just a ton of trash into the sea. So this is an interesting level because we want to stay pretty high up to the top and just take everything we can, because nothing will start at the bottom. They all come from the top of the ocean and then slowly sink down. So we'll just start by grabbing the small stuff, you know, the tabs, and eventually we can get things like bottle caps, which is going to increase our size pretty quickly. And this level is kind of nice because you always know that there's probably going to be something you can eat just at the top of the map. So we just go back and forth, left and right. And there we go. We have now gotten big enough to where we can only really see the golf balls, as well as things like plastic spoons. So we'll be taking that, and there is tons of swimwear coming down. Like, these people who are dumping this stuff do not care. I mean, it is nice at least they're doing them one by one instead of doing like gigantic sacks of garbage, because at least I can eat the stuff this way. But oh, there we go. We can get those 6-pack rings, which is nice because I don't want any turtles to die to that. And yeah, just getting bigger slowly. Now we can get these swimsuits. I kind of like the eye animations on the octopus, how he like looks around towards what his next piece of trash is going to be. You don't really notice it too much when you're playing, but it's kind of fun, you know, he's just hanging out. But now we're on to the tires, the toilets, and also all the oil cans. There are so many broken toilets that are getting put down into the ocean, but this level is pretty much just consume. Not the most interesting level in the world, and also a very long one, but we have grown again. Now everything is small. We can start taking all of these mattresses as well as the car husks, and we're almost getting to the point where we're big enough to actually see the boats that are putting these down. Also, how big are these boats to where they can drop this many car husks? And finally, there we go. We are now huge. And okay, I guess those are pretty big boats, but basically all we have to do at this point is get big enough to the point where we can eat all 3 of these boats, and then we'll be able to end off the level with that, which finally it looks like I've gotten to that size. So I will take 1, 2, and 3. That'll be that level. Only 2 left for the octopus. And now, oh my gosh, I forgot about this level. So basically you have these boats that are just dropping scuba divers, even though I am directly here. And there are also some sharks that are trying to take my food, but these boats do not care at all. Like, these guys aren't even getting a chance to swim. They literally just get dropped and are immediately eaten. Even if they think they could dodge me, how are you gonna dodge me and all 3 of these sharks? Like, this is absolutely insane. Do these people even care about their customers? Actually, I already know the answer to that. Obviously, it's a no. But yeah, I gotta love this game. There's so many funny scenes like this, which just don't make sense, but are kind of awesome. The sharks are starting to get on my nerves a little bit. They don't know that these humans are my meal. So I will be having to make these sharks my meal as well soon, but don't worry, we will get to that. Oh, and there we go. As soon as I say that, it's perfect time for eating. Now, literally everything is my meal. These sharks should probably just leave. I mean, it is kind of easy food for them just to eat the humans, because like, I don't even know what these boats are thinking or how they have so many people on the boats. But don't worry, I'll be coming for the boats soon too, because after just a little bit more human and shark eating, we of course end it, and we are on to the last level of the octopus, which is going to be the one where we start very small and go through all the levels that we did so far. So you already know the beginning. We're just taking everything at the bottom of the sea. Pretty easy stuff until now we can start going for the plastic caps. And yeah, honestly, octopus levels, super fun. I really enjoy these. Actually, all the water levels are super enjoyable. And yes, there will be one more. But after we get out of this first section, like at the first level of the octopus levels, we now expand our world. We can see much more stuff and go much faster. There are also going to be the spiky fish. I already forgot the name. You think I would have remembered it after it was a whole point of conversation, but you know what? We'll remember them once we eat them. It's also fun every once in a while where the octopus is like, her, like he's so happy. That also was a terrible impersonation, I'm so sorry for that. But we have gotten bigger again and almost big enough to see what the spiky fish are called again. Oh, here we go. What is it? It's the lionfish. How did I forget that? You know what? It will be stuck in my memory forever now. I learned it twice. There's no way I can forget again. And of course, you already know we're doing some more jumps into the air to get those birds. They don't know what's gonna hit them. Just such a fun part. I know it's a very simple game mechanic, but I just love jumping out of the water. It feels so good. And now we are even bigger. I think we're about to start seeing ships and things like that. Well, not just yet. First, we have to see the humans we're gonna get to eat and things like these fish. And we're just destroying them at this point. It's so nice how fast you grow size on these last levels. Like, I'm pretty sure we can already eat humans. Like, that's kind of insane. And of course, that means we get to hear more of their screams. Who doesn't love doing that? Now, once we're at the bigger state, I think this is where the ships are going to start to come in. First, we do start taking care of all the stuff. And yes, I was actually right this time. I mean, someone has to release all these scuba divers into the water. And there's a lot of these guys too, just swimming in these shark-infested waters. And even worse, these me-infested waters. And of course, after taking care of a couple of sharks, we can go for the helicopters and then also the boats, just like before. We're getting pretty gigantic at this point, but this is a super long level. It will be fun though, because we're finally going to be able to take out those really big ships, at least after we get a little bit bigger. But we got to have a couple of light snacks, you know, just some whale sharks. And of course, some shipping containers. Like, I could probably eat that on a regular Tuesday. But now our octopus is officially bigger than he's ever been before. You can see just how many steel shipping containers we can take. And now there are submarines that are trying to shoot at us. So that's a thing. Also, there are going to be these balloons that are flying through the sky. Those are going to be a nice meal for us first before we can then also get the garbage ships. And yeah, things are definitely getting kind of insane at this point. Literally, the military is out to get me. That is how big we are. I mean, in real life, this thing would be absolutely terrifying. Like, just tanking up all these submarines. They can't do anything. I don't know who volunteered for this mission, but it wasn't a good idea on their part. And then we could get the resort that's just kind of chilling there, you know, easy stuff. And you do see there is a gigantic stack of trash. That is going to be our last goal. But before we get there, we just got to take up a couple more of these submarines. I'll just go through at this point. They can't even damage me. And we also got the container ships. Those are pretty big too. Now just getting my last few of these guys, making sure that we have enough size until finally we'll try for this, take up all the garbage, and that'll be that level done. Now we're on to the rat levels. And the backstory for this one is that some elephant migration routes just have a ton of landmines there, so they need a mine-sniffing rat. And there's a bunch of those guys who are the regular ones, and then there's us, and we're just very hungry. So we'll start with normal things like termites. I mean, we're not that big just yet, but soon we'll be able to help, maybe. I mean, I would help the elephants if I actually cared about them, but of course we're gonna be eating them along with everything else. Starts just with the termites though, and then we'll see some dung beetles, which we just stole that guy's dung ball. We are so mean to him. I kind of feel bad for that one. Like, that was just rude. Still though, we're just going through trying to grab as much as possible. Now we can actually get the dung beetles as well because we've grown a good amount of size. Then once we grow even bigger, you can see that there are the actual rats that are going through and also some tarantulas that are just eating them whole. Do tarantulas do that in real life? I'm actually not sure. I don't think I've ever seen one before. I also don't really want to see one in real life ever, but anyways, back to dung beetles. And soon we will be eating our brothers, the other rats. Kind of sad when you really think about it because we all do have the same goal, trying to get rid of all the landmines. It's just we're way too hungry to really worry about that goal. I am sorry, brothers, but it has to happen. I mean, the tarantulas are coming after you anyways. We're just speeding up the process a little bit. Don't worry though, I will get my revenge for you guys. I will take out these tarantulas soon. I just need to eat a couple more of you. That way I can keep growing in size. We're getting pretty large at this point, and there we go. Here come the tarantulas. A nice tasty meal for me. We haven't even seen a single landmine at this point, which is kind of funny, but oh, there's also going to be these little bits of grass that we can take, at least the smaller ones at first. At this point, we're able to eat everything we see, even binoculars. I mean, when has something being inedible stopped me from eating it? But there we go. With those guys done, that's going to be the first level. And now we actually do have a mission to protect the elephants. Too bad I don't really care about the mission. I mean, I'll try to protect them, kind of, but if one of them bumps into a landmine, you can only really blame themselves. They should be staying on the path. Like, they're literally getting onto the grass fast. That's kind of their fault at that point. I can only do so much. Still though, after we deal with the immediate path and we don't just have multiple elephant deaths on our hands, we'll just be going for everything else, which, where did all these mines come from? I do wonder that. But still, we are about to finish up. I just need one more, and there we go. We saved most elephants. The game wasn't very proud of us, but you know, we did what we needed to do. Now we are onto the scorpion level, and look at these turtles, man. They are just chilling. Like, they're kind of the boys. They're probably also pretty terrified of the scorpions. I would be too. But yeah, they're not even moving, man. They're just chilling, waiting there. I love turtles so much. They're so awesome. The scorpions are always going to go in a set path though, so we can just take each one of these 4 paths, grab a couple scorpions, and go to the next one. Until finally, we're able to eat some of the grass as well. That's going to increase our size by a ton, and soon we will be able to eat all of the turtles. Just grab them. That is a huge source of size for us, and finally, we'll finish out just with a few more. Easy. And speaking of quick, now we have the cheetah level. So we'll start this one out just by grabbing some turtles here and there, and there will be some cheetahs that are just running extremely quick. I guess there are also the ostriches, and these things are running into us. They're also trying to eat our turtles, which is pretty rude. But after we just get a little bit of size, we can eat them. Yeah, they probably were not expecting this. We're kind of faster than them, which is a little surprising. Maybe they're not going top speed, but yeah, I'll just grab them. We're already like 3/4 done. This level is extremely quick, and we can just finish out with a couple more birds. And now this level is very interesting. So first, we're just going to take these elephant shrews, and there's going to be these animals. I actually forget the name of them right now. It's bat-eared something. I'll get reminded when we eat them, but they're just going to be chilling by the nests and waiting there. So yeah, they just give me free reign to eat whatever I want. Sometimes we will knock into them, and they're probably like, dude, what are you doing? This is so rude. But yeah, I really appreciate how they're not going for any of my food or me. It's kind of nice. But there we go. Now we're going to get big enough, and they're called bat-eared foxes. Okay, I was pretty close. I had the bat-eared part right. Anyways, we're going to be taking up as many of those. Even though they were so kind to us, not stealing our food, we're not going to share that same kindness with them. And after getting big enough, we can also be taking out these termite nests, and that'll be that level. And now we got the poacher level, which this one, gotta love it, because who likes poachers? So we'll be able to take them out before they can kill any of the species. And then, you know, we're gonna kill the endangered species, but we don't gotta talk about that part. Now, these poachers are pretty easy to take down too, and there was also a cheetah. We are already big enough for that. There will be these lions. Those ones are gonna take a little bit longer to get, and they are also trying to get our food. Like, these poachers are the most ineffective people possible. I'm not gonna lie. They're pretty much just free meals. But after gaining a little bit of size, we're getting all the lioness and the lions. Pretty easy stuff to eat. They just make it way too easy, to be completely honest with you. And soon we should be about the size to be able to eat those tents. There we go. I can see it right there. That is going to be a huge amount of size. That is very quick. Just got to get that last one, and that'll be that one. Now on to level 7 here. We got to go for these guys first, and there's just going to be tons of animals. There's also going to be the grass that we can take. And yeah, this level just starts out with a bang. There's so much you can eat. Sometimes it has a bunch of stuff that it's like, oh yeah, you're going to be able to eat it soon, but it just gives us everything right away. There are also the poachers. With just a little bit of eating, we're already on that state where we can take care of them too. And yeah, just everything's going down. We got the warthogs at this point, and also all of these bushes. Those are going to be nice too. Don't mind if I take a little bite. Our map has now grown a little bit bigger, and there are just so many poachers in this world, man. But we're going to be taking them out along with the rest of everything else. Oh yeah, there are also going to be these giraffes that are just chilling, and that means we're always going to know where they are, which is going to be a nice source of food for whenever we want them. We're also eating these elephants at this point. The world has expanded once again to where we only really see the giraffes and the elephants. I mean, there are cars too, but don't worry, that's going to be a tasty meal for me soon enough. And the trees, of course, we're going to take all of those as fast as possible. Then there's going to be all these buildings. We can take their fences, their trucks. There are going to be planes. Those are going to be nice and tasty. And yeah, pretty close to finishing this one up just with a couple of planes. Maybe get a couple more of those safari trucks, and there we go. And now we have to clear all the mines in this level. So not too much to say for it. They're just a bunch of mines we have to go through. We're trying to go fast. It does give you some good training on your quick turns and making sure you're going right. You will see every once in a while I am slowing down because it is super hard being precise when you're also going fast. fast. And with only 36 mines to get, it really isn't the worst level in the world. We should be ending up just with those guys. Nice and easy. Gotta love those sub 1 minute levels. They're always nice to see. But now, oh yeah, this level. Okay, so basically all of these people are just drinking from this pond and not even leaving. I don't even think they notice what's happening in the world around them, but we have to go for the smaller animals first, and then we'll get onto the bigger ones from there. You can see we have grown enough in size, so now we can go for things like cheetahs. And yeah, it's just about picking the right animals. We're now going for the lioness, and slowly but surely there are becoming less and less animals by this pond. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know if these guys are alive or anything. Like, they're not even reacting. They probably hear the noises of the other guys getting eaten. Maybe they're just actual props and this is just all a fun game. You know, it's not real life. But things are very much starting to get lesser. We are almost to the point where we can just go in a circle and eat everything at a single time. It's just these elephants we have to wait for. I'm about to get up to that size. There we go. We see that the arrow is now pointing to them, so I can grab a few of them. That's going to be that level. Now for level 10, it will be Revenge of the Elephants, but I'm not worrying about elephants right now. We're going straight for all these zebras. And yeah, the elephants are attacking the cars. Hey, I'm not mad at them, especially if those cars do have the poachers in them. We all hate poachers. But yeah, they are very good at this. Like, they are destroying these people. And like usual, they're humans, so they're not even going to try to get away from the danger. They kind of just accept that this is their lives. It's kind of funny. The elephants are dealing with all the cars and I'm dealing with all the zebras. You know, it's almost like we're a team. Almost, until I eventually end up eating them too. Kind of the sad reality of life. Nobody can be my friend because everything is food. And like I said, now we're going for cars. You know what? I'm hoping the elephants get revenge until I start eating them too. They should have made this level one of them where you're only supposed to eat poachers in the trucks. That probably would have made it a bit better, but you know, I'm eating everything. We don't care. And for our second to last level in the rats, we have time for takeoff, which starts us with eating a bunch of cars, and soon we're going to be getting onto the airplanes. So these are some nice and tasty cars. Some of them are just sitting all together in a line. Other ones are just moving around, and the airplanes can do almost nothing to us. If they knock into us, we're just putting them completely off course. They don't really care, it seems like, though. And I am just waiting till the point to where I can start eating them, because this level then gets a ton faster. But with just a few more of these trucks, there we go. And I guess they're prop airplanes. I mean, they're moving, so I don't really know what that means. But either way, maybe that's like the, oh wait, actually maybe that's like propeller airplanes. I am so dumb. All right, anyways, that's probably what that meant. I thought it meant like prop, like they weren't actual real airplanes and they were on like a movie set or something. But yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Anyways, we're gonna finish out with a couple more of these dudes. Perfect. And onto the last level of the rat. And we're back down right at the beginning where we're just dealing with all the termites and the plant matter. You know, it's always nice to go back to your roots, but I still do feel bad about these dung beetles and stealing their dung balls. What do dung beetles even do with those? I don't know. I'll probably look that up afterwards. Anyways, we are now bigger. There's the tarantulas. You already know these guys are extremely creepy. Like, look at them just eating rats. They're terrifying. I mean, I say that as I am eating literally everything and I get up to the size where I can eat actual airplanes. Yeah, maybe I'm the one who's actually terrifying, especially now because I have definitely gotten up to about their size. I'm just waiting to see one of these guys. Oh, you just wait a little bit longer, tarantula. I'm coming for you. They know it's gonna happen too. They're probably seeing me get bigger and bigger, but there we go. Nice and tasty spiders. You love to see it. And also grabbing the grass like usual, and also landmines. Wait, those were landmines this whole time? I thought those were just like broken pieces of glass. I never actually noticed that. Like, I knew there were landmines in the rat levels. I just thought in these cases, those were glass. I am not the smartest person in the world. Why did I even expose myself right there? It's okay. We're just gonna keep on consuming. We do see the poachers. We're already able to eat them. We've been growing just big enough. This has probably been one of the fastest worlds too. Like, there were so many levels in this world that took less than a minute. At least it felt like that. I would have to go back into the recording to see if that was actually true. But anyways, bigger now, and we're back at this point. Just tons of bushes. There are gonna be bigger and bigger animals we can eat. The giraffes just chilling, literally doing nothing to anybody, but I'm just pushing them out of the way. I mean, it's better than me eating them. They should be grateful for that, for however much time they have left. And that time was not very long, because now we're coming for you. You know, you guys just shouldn't make it so easy. At least move out of the way. Hit me with a car every once in a while, like the humans are doing. But we are now even bigger. All of the elephants are now just our food. We can also grab these fences, get all the cars as well, and the bushes and stuff. Or I guess these aren't bushes at this point. These are just trees. Still, all the same to me. It's something to make me bigger. And we'll be grabbing a couple couple of the airplanes, and soon we'll be going for entire buildings. There we go. We are now gigantic. You see entire herds of elephants just crossing, which is pretty nice for me because that's a perfect time for me to get some tasty food. And we can just destroy all of these fences, the prop airplanes that they got down there. And there are a ton of buildings. Those are going to be nice and tasty soon. I feel so bad about taking out just all these elephants, like an entire herd of them at one point. We are just completely destroying these elephants. And now we're on to the resort. So yeah, goodbye guys. And with all of that done, we are about done. I just have to take out a couple more elephants. There we go. On to the B levels. And this is where this game gets interesting. Okay, I mean, the game already has been interesting. Basically, they've been experimenting with bee colonies and trying to make a super bee, which will be able to pollinate way better and is more resistant to colony collapse. And some dude is just walking by, is like, why does that bee have gigantic eyes? And causes the bee to go free. So yeah, that's who we are. And we're going to start out just with some regular pollen. We are completely destroying this pollen too, and it's not going back to any queen. I'm my own queen in this game, and we're going to go eat. You can even see the bigger bees, but now we're getting a couple of gnats. Those are going to be a nice source of food for us. And this level's really nice because there's just so much stuff all around us. I bet these bees are like, oh yeah, this is one of our friends. He's definitely here to help us. Little do they know that is not going to last very long. It never has with any of these levels, because in just a little bit longer we can start eating them too. And now I'll just be going from flower to flower. It's even easier at this point. We don't even see any of the pollen or the gnats. We can just go straight on for the bees. And there are going to be these hummingbirds. They're kind of just trying to do their thing. Everything's working together except for us, who is completely destroying the ecosystem. I mean, they should have thought a little bit harder before they released the super bee. I guess it wasn't intentional, but still, maybe it shouldn't have been that easy to release. Now it looks like it's time for the hummingbirds. I love the sound of birds, but I don't exactly love it as much when we hear it when we're eating them. Birds, great animal though. And before too long, after we take care of a couple of birds, we can start taking just these flowers. Of course, starting with the smaller ones first, then we can start eating all of them, and we will grow in size until we see a bunch of bushes. So we'll be coming through, grabbing all the pink stuff. And yeah, in general, just having a good time. We'll grab everything from the bushes first before we start coming upwards, and we'll see that along with a bunch of apples, there are just drones. And these drones do not care. I don't know who is piloting them, but they'll just run into us. Honestly, one of the most annoying things in this game, I don't like the noise they make, and I don't like that they just explode every time we hit them. So I am going to be very happy when we eat them soon. It becomes a little bit harder to get food as you get rid of all the apples and stuff, because that's just a consistent source of food. But then once we start taking on the drones, there are so many. How do all of these people have drones? Or are they all owned by like the same person? Either way, it's just going to be more tasty meals for me, and we will finish out with just a few more. There we go. Now on to 2, we have Mind Your Beeswax, and for this one, we are just in this guy's hive and stealing everything. He is chasing after us like, dude, this is not your honey, but we don't really care at all. And once we get bigger, it becomes even easier to steal this honey, and we can also eat the bees. They knew what was coming to them. I mean, they shouldn't have been trying to attack me in the first place. They should have known this would happen to them. But yeah, we're just running through, destroying absolutely everything. Once we get most of the honey from one of the hives, we can go to the second one, which is right over to the right. And just look how happy our bee guy is when he's eating. He's just glad to be alive and glad to be full. Now we got to go for a couple of these flowers. Go for the smaller ones first, of course. Grab one from this bush, and we can also grab the pine cones as well. We are also big enough to start taking care of a couple of the birds, but I do want to grab the flowers first just because they're a very easy source of meals. But now we'll get a couple of the cardinals, and this one is just going back and forth until eventually we're big enough to grow. Now we can grab a couple more of these people. You will see that there are beekeepers. They have not been doing their jobs great because they should have known that I was here. Like, I should be public threat number 1. They've seen what these animals do. If this is all in the same universe, at least. Like, humanity should stop trying to test their fate. But I guess they don't care. They're trying to make their lives easier, only for everything to go downhill immediately. Still, now we can start grabbing some hive frames, which is going to be nice, along with the beehives. And these people, finally, they realize they should start running from me. Took you long enough, man. Now on to leave bee alone. You already know we're not going to leave bee alone. But at least at the start, we will. Like, we're only going to go for the nectar because we're small. But yeah, these other bees, they're not going to like what's coming to them. I mean, to be fair, they are stealing my nectar, so that's kind of messed up with them. And if I'm not going to be able to eat a bunch of nectar, I got to eat something. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, this is a pretty small map where all we're doing is just just going through the different flowers, trying to grab nectar before the other bees can get to it. Then eventually, once we have a good amount of it, we're gonna go for these bees, and there is plentiful. Of course, not supposed to eat them. We are getting so many negative points, but I'm not too worried about it. We're now onto birds of a feather. And in this one, just like the name implies, we're gonna be eating a lot of birds. They got older bird feeders around. They're just trying to enjoy their days. Meanwhile, I'm coming and I'm hungry. Imagine this bee with the gigantic eye is the thing that kills you. He doesn't even look angry. He just looks like he doesn't care. Like, there's no point to this senseless carnage. He just kind of wants to. He's hungry. Yeah, I could not imagine this being the way I go out. I'm not gonna lie, but that's not gonna stop us from destroying the entire world. So after eating tons of hummingbirds, getting super big, we not only can eat the cardinals, but we can also eat the hummingbird feeders. So yeah, unlucky for them. Now we got a level where we're already starting out pretty big. We're cardinal size, so that's gonna be our first few eats. And there's not much stuff on the ground that we can eat, but there are gonna be all these bald eagles, and they're gonna be coming after us. This truly is a bird eat bird world, because these guys do not care. They're hungry too. Hey, if this was my hunting grounds, I'd probably be pretty intimidated too. This dude looks terrifying. But after a bit of being hungry, we go for the bald eagles. Yep, you guys should have taken me out while you had the chance, because now you'll never get one of those again. And I'm just waiting till the point where I can start getting those benches too. They look really tasty. I'm just trying to find more bald eagles. They are trying to get away from me, but there we go. Got the park benches. That gets us a ton of size extremely quickly. And now we're at this level where we're starting with some apples. And again, there are going to be a bunch of drones, but at least for this level, we're really zoomed out and we'll be able to deal with those drones soon. And by soon, I mean like right away, because we already can eat them now. Nice and tasty. It's just so satisfying to eat these guys just because they explode and it's annoying. I don't want you to explode on me. That's just rude. And how are these beekeepers just not reacting at all? Okay, I can maybe buy that a regular person isn't going to care. They'll just be like, oh yeah, big bee. Okay, I can't buy that at all. But at least the beekeepers should know better. They should be alerting somebody that there's just a gigantic bee. Maybe I'm the one that's crazy. I don't know. But now we can start getting these beehives because of the beekeepers' negligence. This is happening. And finally, of course, they're going to start running away when they see the consequences of their actions. But this is nice for me because now I can go on these buildings and just grab people that are coming off onto their balconies. I don't know why they keep coming off onto their balconies, but they do. And it's some pretty tasty eating for me. So we'll just be going through, going back and forth. There are a couple of airplanes that are maybe coming after me, or they're just having a fun time. I mean, who's gonna think that this bee is evil? Look how cute he is with his big eye. But once we can start taking care of cars, that's when it gets really fun. It's gonna speed up from here because cars, huge source of nutrition. They're gonna make us gigantic. And soon we will also be able to take out the planes, get trees, get literally everything. Like, I see those trees. They look mighty tasty, but I do gotta take, oh, and there is also a fighter plane that we're gonna eat. Yummy. Now at this point, our world expands even more. We can take a ton of these trees and then also go back and forth, grab some more trees, which will be tasty. At this point, there's just tons of planes in the air. I feel like this isn't safe to have this many planes in the air at the same time in the exact same area. And they're learning just why that isn't that safe, I guess, because we are destroying them. Now with just a few more, I'll take a couple of cars, just looking for something big enough to give me the size I need. There we go. Now until level 7, we're back to being small, but for this one, we're gonna grow pretty big, pretty fast. So we get all these pine cones, we're getting all these apples. Already we have expanded in size. Now we can also go for the beehives, and yeah, this is kind of insane. Now there will be a couple of cars. We don't want to mess with them too much. We don't want them to get off the map so we can no longer eat them. We're just grabbing some beehives. There we go. We have gotten up to car size, and in literally like 30 seconds, that's a level done. Oh, and now it is time for the balloon level. So this level is kind of fun, but I don't know. It's a little annoying because it's kind of hard to tell if the balloons are small enough for you to be able to eat. Like sometimes I'm just looking around for the right size of a balloon, and you have to look for a while. Some look like maybe you could eat them, but I guess our bee is just too lazy. Doesn't want to open up his jaw enough, so we got to wait a little bit longer. And another problem is this is just kind of a long level. So yeah, you're just going through eating balloons. Not too much to say. But it finally becomes really fun once you become big enough to almost eat every single balloon. You just keep getting to hear that satisfying popping sound. And yeah, when I don't have to think about what I'm eating, it goes crazy. And yeah, another level done. Now time for B in the cockpit. And for this one, we're starting out car size. And there are also going to be fighter jets, which are coming after us. The humans have finally started to come for us. Took them long enough. But the sad thing for these guys is they are not the greatest shots, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll just be going through, taking care of all the smaller vehicles, and I will be coming for the fighter jets soon. Because, I mean, everything is tasty for our B guy. I think they also have realized at this point. I don't see anyone shooting at me. I just saw that they are able to be eaten, and yeah, those are my fighter planes now. It's so satisfying when you turn the hunter into the hunted. Like, the humans really thought they had something with their guns before I got big enough to just eat them completely. And yeah, we'll just take out a few more. Another quick level. Now on to number 10 of the B levels. This one's kind of funny because you're only supposed to eat the pollen from the yellow flowers, but that also seems like it would take a lot more time. So we're going for both the yellow and the purple flowers. I don't care if the game's mad at me. It is very satisfying to do this level this way because normally this is a fairly slow level, but instead of going slow and all that, we can just go from one flower to the next, grabbing a couple things in our mouth, and yeah, you can see the size that we're gaining. Nice and easy. Still though, not the most exciting level, but we got it done. Now on to our second to last level of the bees. We got the apartment level where we're eating all these humans. Yeah, in this level, literally our only thing for consumption, or almost our only thing for consumption, is the humans that just can't stop coming outside. Like, listen to the news, guys. Just stay indoors, and I couldn't do anything. I mean, I guess eventually I would get you because we would grow large enough to eat the buildings, but at least you'd get like a few more minutes. You know, that's actually kind of crazy. I just realized each of these levels only take a few minutes. Like, you would think that for our bee to grow this much in size, this would take hours, but no, this is like the matter of 3 minutes. Yeah, maybe it's more so the humans just accepting their inevitable fate, because once this thing gets released, it's just over. But after a few more tasty humans, we'll see that we're big enough to go ahead and take the airplane, which is going to finish that one out. And now we're back at the beginning. You already know what we're doing at this point. We got to start out just with the regular pollen, and soon we'll be up to actual bee level. Look how relaxed these bees are at this point. They're just having a great day, enjoying their lives. It's not going to last long at all. You know, our bee actually would be amazing for the flowers. Like, he's able to pollinate them so quickly, but then he ends up also eating the flowers as well. So yeah, I think it's kind of a net negative. And now we are a little bit bigger, and at this point we can start going for the bees and eventually start going for the hummingbirds. And along with the hummingbirds, of course, very soon we can start taking the flowers, which is of course then going to make us even bigger and big enough to start taking on bigger birds and even drones soon. Yeah, at this point the people should start to notice that we might just be a little bit of a problem, but of course they don't. They're humans. They're dumb, and they're still driving their drones by me. They should know at this point just how much I hate these drones. Like, just stop, dude. You don't have to have them out all the time. I do love the B levels, but one nice thing about being done with them soon is at least we won't have to see these drones again. I guess that is sad too, though, because they are very nice to eat. Like, you do deal with a little bit of being annoyed when you're smaller than them, but once we start eating them, oh, that's satisfying for real. This game in general is kind of just satisfying the game because you just get bigger. It's kind of fun. And speaking of bigger, we're now on to the larger level where we can grab a bunch of apples. All the beekeepers somehow do not know what is about to happen to them. Like, this bee is literally the size of your head, guys. How are you not scared at all? Why isn't the one beekeeper that made this bee trying to warn the other guys? Maybe he just quit his job and moved out of the country because he knew what was going to happen, but that's also not going to help him very much, even if he did. But now on to the point we can start getting the beehives, we can get the bushes. Finally, these guys start to smarten up and realize that I'm a bit of a threat. So yeah, apartment time. Everybody loves these times with all these people just enjoying their patios, and me also enjoying them being on their patios. But yeah, you already know the drill. We get big enough, we can start taking on the cars, start dealing with airplanes. But something a little unexpected is gonna happen if you've never played this game, and that is, you can see at this point we're eating trees, we're eating these fighter planes like it's nothing, but we're not even halfway through this level. So yeah, things are about to get crazy from here. And we're about to go into a bunch of new stuff, which is pretty cool. A bunch of stuff we haven't seen before, like being this big to where we're just taking out city blocks. Like anytime there's just a collection of trees, all of these buildings that you see, they're going to be decimated very, very soon. Even these airplanes that are up in the sky, we can just push them around for right now, but we'll be coming for them soon. Like just after a few more planes, we can see we can go for the apartment buildings. That is tons of people dead literally immediately. And then we can start doing with the jumbo jets. Yeah, these weren't just regular airplanes. They're jumbo jets. I wonder how many people fit in that. I probably actually don't want to know. But then we can start going for the buildings, just go back and forth. We have to get the left side, then we can go to the right side and go back to the left again until we become even bigger. Only just now, we're about half the size we're going to be. And we're literally taking out hills and whole buildings. So yeah, this is gonna get fun. But this is really just a simulator at this point, just going left and right. Not too much additionally you can do about it. Just taking up as many hills, trying to go from the smaller ones to the larger ones. And we can also start taking out an entire city, all of those buildings at once. So that was crazy. And at this point, we are so big, we can see the curvature of the earth. And we're also taking out entire mountains. Yeah, this level gets insane. Oh, I guess that wasn't the curvature of the earth just yet. That was just one island. You know, I'm not too worried about it because we are also taking out islands. We're about to be at the curvature of the earth because after this, we are now so big, we can just almost see the entire planet. We're just going one by one for these guys now. They don't even know what's happening to them. They have no way to comprehend what this gigantic bee is doing. And finally, we're gonna finish out the bee levels with the earth. Now, if you're a little sad because you're like, dang, I wish you got even bigger, don't worry, we will. But now we're on to the shark levels. And in these levels, a businessman is explaining that he's been investing in the latest shark killing tech, but not because the sharks have been tormenting anybody, but because they get stuck in their fishing nets and cost them money. So yeah, they've been killing a ton of sharks and now it's time to get a revenge. So for this one, it starts out with a pretty small area where the shark is already pretty big. I mean, we're killing some fries, nice and tasty. You already know how it is. And we'll just be going around eating as many of those, sometimes going to the bottom of the lake. And we can also see that we can now get these strawberry anemones. And those are pretty tasty. That's going to give us a huge amount of size to now make it so we can go for even bigger fish. There are going to be these sea urchins at the bottom of the water. They will hurt us, but like usual, we don't really care too much. Instead, our boy the shark is just going to keep going around. And this is honestly a pretty fast level. Like we're already halfway there. We're only a minute in. So I'm pretty proud of our shark. But now we can actually go for the sea urchins along with the greenlings. And we can even see that we can jump out of the water, go over places like that. So we can go to the other side and get even more sea urchins. There are also going to be these otters, which just drop sea urchins, which, you know, they're just chilling. They're really not causing too much problems for anybody, but we will be causing problems for them later in this run. Don't worry about that. Now we can start going for the sea cucumbers and pretty much just trying to find anything. I just completely destroyed that bird, pushed him down into the water. I'm going to do a lot worse to him later in this run, though. Don't worry about that. He's still there. He's stuck in the water. He's drowning himself. That's kind of sad. I'm not going to lie. I guess he finally made it out after a little bit, though. So good for him at the very least. We're going to be able to start grabbing these king crabs. And now finally, we can also jump out of the water to get some of those birds. I always love jumping out, grabbing the birds as much as possible. They're just fun to do. I've already said this, but it's just a good time. And with only a little bit more, it looks like we should have enough to complete that first level, going on to number 2. And in this one, it's called Feeling Crabby. And the only thing we're going to eat in this level is these king crabs. We don't really grow in size too much because these are our only meal. And yeah, they're just going to keep climbing in the exact same places. They never learn their lessons. You would think they would start to understand that maybe they should try to get away from the shark, but maybe they've just accepted that they are my meal. I mean, they're pretty tasty. At least I assume they are because the shark seems to be enjoying them a lot. And yeah, we're pretty much just eating a few more and that should be it. Another level done. Now onto this third level. All we're going to be going after are these moon jellies. And this is a super annoying level because it's really hard to know if you can actually eat a certain moon jelly. It's like those other levels where there are just slight differences in their size. So sometimes you think you should be able to eat one, but it's just slightly too big. So we have to go for the next one. I'm just using my arrow on the shark to usually see which ones we can take. And sometimes you just got to keep going around in circles and not really get anything. Kind of a nice calming level though. I mean, we're just going back and forth. And you already know once we do finally get big enough and can start eating almost everything, that's when it's really going to start getting fun. These sea levels really are some of my favorites, by the way. If you want to see me do more of these Tasty Planet speedruns, let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure there's a game called like Tasty Blue, so I could do that next if people are interested. But we are starting to get to the point. More and more stuff is available to eat. Other stuff we're just flinging all over the place because if I can't eat you, I'm gonna make your life pretty miserable. And yeah, we are just going for absolutely everything at this point. All of these levels so far have been pretty quick, so I've been appreciating that, but we'll finish out right there at our 21 centimeters. And now on to number 4, we got Soak Things Up. Oh, and this is my least favorite level in the entire game, because what you have to do is just keep going up and down and hope you get lucky, because sometimes these fish are gonna pop out, but you never know when they're going to, so we just have to keep paying attention to our arrow, and yeah, just hope. Probably the most RNG based level in this entire game, and it is not the most fun time in the world, especially when you do see a fish but it's just too big for you to eat. That's probably the worst part. Like, if you're going to finally pop out, you might as well be something that I can consume. At least do that for me, you know what I'm saying? But finally, after 2 minutes, we've gotten to the size where we can actually eat everything, which is nice because it is very annoying for things like those rockfish to do damage to me instead of getting in my belly. And from here, we just have to get a little bit bigger. And then after we get bigger, this level can finally actually start. Or more so, the fun part of the level can finally actually start. Because you'll see, finally, after a bit, we get our view expanded, and there's just tons of these rockfish that we can eat. Then after we get those guys, we're going to start going for the cloud sponges. And yeah, we'll just go back and forth from here, eating all the cloud sponges. Soon we get even bigger. We are now absolutely gigantic, and we can finally finish those off, and that's going to be the level. Now on to number 5 in these. We are a pretty big shark at this point, and there is a lot of stuff we can already eat. Right away, we're going for the moon jellies, we're going for the rockfish, and there's also going to be people that are trying to spearfish us. And yes, one of the spearfishers just killed another one. They don't even care who they killed. It's not like they're working together. They're just trying to kill anything that they can see. And these things also disintegrate when they're hit, so it's kind of insane. But it is nice already being this big because we can go for pretty much everything. We can get all of those birds. Soon I will also be going for those spear fishermen. They deserve what's coming to them, killing absolutely everything. Not like I can talk, but I still don't like it because that's my food. Oh, by the way, we can also finally start getting these otters too. I was talking about that earlier. I was telling you it was going to happen. I kind of feel bad because they really are just chilling, but along with them, we can also get the spear fishermen, which I guess they're called fighting scuba divers. I mean, basically the same thing. And those guys aren't just chilling, so they maybe deserve it a little bit more. I love how they have the audacity to gas. Meanwhile, they're killing literally everything. They're killing other people. But now we're big enough to get sea lions, and we can see that there are even more sharks coming out, and things like beluga whales. So yeah, our shark boy is finally getting up to the height where he's gonna really be able to start enacting his revenge. I mean, a businessman did pretty much extinct his entire species, so can you really blame him? And by extension, can you really blame me? You know, you gotta think about that. But yes, there are also gonna be boats coming out. Don't worry, we will be eating them soon too. I guess I don't really have to explain that for this game anymore. Pretty much anything you do see, you know that we're going to eat eventually. Even the gigantic logs, we somehow fit that inside of us. I cannot tell you how, but we have increased our view a little bit more. We can see that there's tons of stuff available for us, including coming onto land, getting a couple of those logs, and I will be coming for those cabins later too. And now we're going for the humpback whales. They're a nice and tasty treat. And oh, do not think I forgot about those boats as well. The tinier ones we can start taking, and they're called shark ramming ships. Did I just see that right? Is that specifically what they're for? Just ramming into sharks? Oh, and now they've brought out the fighter jets. I mean, to be fair, probably a smart idea given how many people I've been murdering, but it's not going to help them that much. I can tell you that. And these are literally shark ramming ships, by the way. They're specifically just to hit the sharks. I guess that's probably what the businessman was talking about at the beginning, but that's pretty messed up. Now onto the sea urchin level, and it's pretty much just going to be a ton of sea urchins falling from the sky. It will be another one of these where some of them will be too big for us, others are just the right size, and we got to use the arrow to find out which one is which. I like this level though. I really like the nice purple color of the sea urchins. I don't know, it's just like a calming color, I guess. And it's especially fun once we start seeing what's throwing these downwards, because of course, eventually we are going to grow, which we did just do there. And yeah, as I was saying, it's these sea otters again. They're literally just playing with the sea urchins and then throwing them down because they do not have a care anywhere in the world. I aspire to be as chill as these sea otters. Like, they really are having the greatest time of their lives. But of course, all good times must come to an end eventually, and their good times are about to be up. I'm just waiting until I finally see that arrow letting me know I can go for them. And there we go. We can start eating them. All we got to do is take all 3, and that's going to be the level done. Now on to number 7. This one, we're literally just eating oil. There's oil that's coming out, and I'm pretty sure these ships are trying to take it, but we're not going to let them do that because that's a perfect thing for me to gain some size. These ships are trying their best to find it. At least I think that's what they're doing. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this level because sometimes they do drive over the oil and they don't take it. So, I mean, that's something. But either way, I don't really care what they're trying to do. What I'm trying to do is get some nice tasty oil. See, our shark doesn't only care about himself. He also is helping the environment. And one thing that would also probably help the environment is getting rid of these very annoying ships. Like, every once in a while, they just slam into me. It really does hurt. So don't worry, I'll be coming for them in a second. We just got to get a couple more bits of oil. And this level, honestly, is very similar to the sea urchin level. I guess instead of the oil going downwards, it goes upwards. But yeah, it's basically the exact same concept. And like the sea urchin level, it'll end with just getting rid of the 3 big things, and that'll be that one done. Now for this next level, we have a race. Yeah, this is a pretty fun level. So what you have to do is follow this path, and you will see that we're grabbing these logs one by one. We got to go for the tiniest log on the top first, and then we can do our second lap, going through and doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, it's literally just doing 5 laps of this racetrack, and it's a pretty fun time because you really start to try to optimize it. And it's also fun as you slowly get bigger, can start taking on different logs. It's just a good time. What can I say? It's also pretty nice because it's a fast level, and you already know my speedrunning brain loves these fast levels. But we can finish out with that final log. And yeah, I wonder who set that up, but I appreciate it. Now for this next one, we start out by trying to get these salmons. There are also going to be some bigger sharks in the sea, but they're not really coming after me too much, so I'm just chilling. You could see them. They want these salmons, but they're mine. And we are growing in size incredibly fast. Like, this salmon must be incredibly nutritious. Honestly, one of the easier ones of these levels where you're fighting for the resources versus other people, because there are only a couple of these other sharks, and now we can start eating them. So tasty. Hey, I'm the one who's going extinct. I need them more than you do. Now we got the timber level, and in this one, we're going to be going after everything wood. So there will be some wood floating on top of the sea. There will be some that we have to get on these different islands. So we'll just be grabbing those. Then we can actually start going for the trees, destroying things in like less than a second. Going onto land is also not the most comfortable thing for my shark, clearly, but he will do what he needs to do. And we are at this point almost done with this level already. All we have to do is go back to the left. You can see that it opened up a bit more. Grab a couple of these logging things, and there we go. On to number 11. And for this one, we have all of these sea lions going around in circles and me completely eating them. We also got the whales. They're doing whatever whales do. I don't even think they're going after the sea lions, so they aren't even any competition for me, but they will be a nice and tasty snack for me, that's for sure. And these sea lions are like incredibly plentiful. There are so many just popping out, not running away like literally everything else in this game. And they also swim in completely straight lines, or like they're all taking the exact same path, so I don't even have to try to get them in different areas. Like, thank you guys. They really felt like giving us the fastest set of levels right here. Honestly, I do wonder. I'm pretty sure that the first cat levels are the fastest world, but this world might actually be even faster than that one. Either way, can't worry about it right now. I will take another humpback whale, and now we're on the final one of the main levels. And in this one, of course, we're starting out just eating some fries, just like before. Feels good to be back at these guys. Then we start taking some of the shells on the seafloor, and yeah, you already know how it is. Eventually, we can start going for the pink stuff. That's going to be tasty, making us extremely big and really opening up the world for us, as well as letting us see these sea urchins. It's kind of insane how fast this shark grows compared to some of these other levels. Like, I don't know, this might be a contender for one of the fastest set of levels. I'm really starting to believe it now because we are already onto this stage where we're seeing the otters and stuff like that. And yeah, our boy just doesn't stop. He's going to keep consuming. Now, of course, eventually we're on to the point where everything starts opening up. Things like these sea otters look a lot more appetizing because we are starting to get up to their height, and we can also start going for the different birds. There are also going to be these attacking scuba divers still coming after me. You think they would have learned their lesson, or maybe learned to just not shoot other people. They still don't really care about that. Do they even need a license to do this, or did they just come out one day and they were like, hey, I'm gonna go for these sharks? Maybe they were paid by the businessman at the beginning. And after taking out a ton of those guys, we even get bigger. We start seeing things like the whales. You already know how it is. And here's where the game really starts feeling good, going for literally everything, seeing those boats that I know will just be so tasty soon. And I think this is the second to last getting bigger part, where now we're in this view, we can start going for the whales. At least some of the smaller ones will be able to be eaten. And we can also start seeing different land areas, which will be nice. We'll be able to take those logs soon. But for right now, why not just get tons of these whales, tons of nutrients in them, then go take down some buildings. I'm pretty sure we can start eating some of these ships, which we have already explained. Those are very evil ships. Like, literally their only purpose is to kill sharks. I mean, what am I doing to anybody? I'm just trying to hang out. I'm not that bad of a guy. And yeah, our boy just has tons of options. There are fighter jets also against him at this point. They are basically just specks of dust to us. Literally not even a problem. I mean, they do hit us. They make us lose a couple of points, but has that stopped me ever before? And finally, our last time getting bigger, we now see these entire islands, which we can just take all the trees like we have before. That is going to be a ton of food. Then we have to go back to the left. Oh, and there will also be destroyers. I forgot about those in this level. And there are also going to be these tanks that are trying to shoot missiles at us. Those are kind of terrifying. But right now, I'm looking for the last thing we're supposed to eat. I think I missed it, or we just have to get some more destroyers. I'm pretty sure it's that. Oh, I want to eat that ship at the bottom of the sea so bad. I'm just trying to get a last little bit of nutrition, but that should be enough. And there goes the shark hunter. And now we're on to the dingo levels, where in this one, Australia is overrun by invasive species. And these are pretty much eating all the other species in Australia. So they decide to genetically modify a dingo, and pretty much we're going to be going after all those guys to try to help out Australia. Of course, they probably didn't think about the fact that I'm not only going to be going for invasive species, but at least they tried. Anyways, we start out pretty small like usual, going after beetles, crickets, all that stuff. And honestly, the dingo is just such a cute animal. I love him so much, you know, as he's ferociously eating literally everything. But we do get a bigger view. We can start seeing rats along with these frogs, which are trying to eat literally everything. Oh, I'm pretty sure in the lore of this game too, they actually tried to bring those frogs to help with the invasive species, and then they turned out to be even bigger pests. So yeah, we're taking out the problem that scientists actually created in the first place. Hey, doesn't matter to me though where things came from. As long as they're a tasty snack, that's all I need to hear. You really would think that scientists would learn at this point, maybe we shouldn't genetically modify animals. Though I'm not sure if this is all in the same universe where all this different stuff happens. Maybe it's different universes, because I guess otherwise the world would just keep getting destroyed. I don't know. If anyone knows the tasty planet lore, let me know in the comments. But we are at a pretty big spot. We can start going for things like rabbits. And yeah, everything is pretty much going down at this point. Because after a bit more of these bigger things, we can go for the goats, which I think are the biggest stuff we have to deal with in this level. And that's going to be number one done. Now, next up is Get Back, where we're going to be going after a bunch of feral cats, while the humans also are. I don't know what these cats did to people. Are they really that bad? Maybe, because there's just tons of people trying to shoot them and me. Dude, I'm a dingo, not a cat. What are you talking about? Don't go after me, dude. It's honestly really sad hearing all the sad meows of these cats as we eat them. Like, it's just constant meows, man. I'm sorry, guys. Don't worry, though. I will get revenge for you guys by eating these humans soon enough. And by soon enough, I mean very quickly. These are also soldiers, apparently, by the way. I guess the Australia government was like, hey, we really need you to take out these cats. Little did they know, all they had to send out was me. Though I guess I'm probably an even bigger problem than the cats at this point, if I'm really thinking about it. Hey, doesn't matter to me. I'm hungry. And with just a little bit more food, that'll be that one done. On to level 3. Happy to see you. Where there are going to be all these frogs and things hopping around. And I'm also happy to see them. They're not even going after anything at this point. They're literally just running away, probably because they know what's about to happen to them. They see me and they're like, that guy, he's going to get big. And I do not want to be around him when he finally gets big. There are also kangaroos hopping and stuff like that. Kind of a cute theme for the level, even though not everything is hopping. I think that would have made it even better, but I guess how many animals actually do hop? Still, there's probably enough stuff hopping in this level to still call it that. And I don't even think in this level you get a bigger view on the world. I'm pretty sure it stays like this the entire time. We just slowly get up to the bigger and bigger animals. Soon those kangaroos will be in my belly. And look how adorable our little dingo looks right now with his eyes looking towards his next set of prey. Okay, I don't know if it's more adorable or terrifying, but it's one of those. Now for our next level, we start out already eating some toads. And we have people running around with boomerangs trying to hit us. First off, why is your weapon of choice the boomerang? Are you Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender. Why are you going after me? What am I doing to you? I'm eating the invasive species that's trying to kill everything else. Are boomerangs actually ever a really effective weapon in real life? I'm not sure. I used to have one when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure I was never able to actually figure out how to make it come back to me. Like, I could kind of do it, but I couldn't do it in the sense where I would throw it out and it comes right back to my hand. Like, it would come back somewhat, just not all the way. Maybe just a skill issue, but that's why I'm getting my revenge this level. And here's where we really will start getting our revenge, because we see that these guys are rangers. That's actually what their job is. Why are you going after me? Shouldn't you be working with the government? And they're like, oh, don't worry, that guy's our guy. He's helping us out. Or maybe at this point in the lore, I'm becoming a problem, so they're thinking they actually have to start dealing with me. That might be the explanation we're looking for. Either way, we're eating tons of tasty stuff, and finally, once we can start going for the bushes, you know that it's about to be done. On to level 5. And in this one, it's another one of these levels where you're only supposed to eat the invasive species, but we're not going to worry about that at all. I mean, it is easy to find out which ones are invasive because we do have the arrow pointing us to them, but I mean, there's just so much tasty stuff in this world. Who cares if it's an invasive species? What, it could be some great food for me. So yeah, obviously not only going for the invasive species is going to increase the time we can get on this level by a lot, so that's pretty important to go fast. We're just going to be eating absolutely everything, and at this point, literally everything is on the menu because we are way more than big enough. We're now on to an entire meter, and everything is looking at us, already knowing that they're going to die. We should be finished with this one in a second with a feral donkey. Gotta love to see it. Now for this next one, right away, we're going to start going for this fence. Doesn't matter that you probably can't digest it that well. Fences are very tasty. What can I say? I mean, maybe they're in like the Willy Wonka world, so it's a candy fence. Just saying. Probably not that at all, if we're going to be completely honest. I think our guy is just hungry. Then after getting the fence, we become pretty big. So a lot of things on the menu start opening up to us, like sheep. Of course, we can grab all the bushes, which are very easy to get since they are stationary. Whenever I don't have to chase after you, it's pretty nice. And then we start getting the bigger view, which means there's more fences that we get to eat. You gotta love to see it. Along with things like houses and cars, I will be coming for them very quickly. And all these cows. I'm trying to think about real life and what I would think if I saw this gigantic dingo. Like, I'd probably just start running away. Like, I don't even know if I would know what to think because this thing is gigantic. And just this look in its eyes where it has no actual malice. It's just eating to eat. I mean, the bee would probably be a lot more terrifying than this guy, but they're still both pretty terrifying. Now we can start going for the cars, get all these fences, as well as all these crops, which we're just eating entire crop fields at the same time. And we're doing it in a lot of style. I kind of love the way that the dingo moves around and how you can move him, but we can also grab these tanks. They're really realizing we're a problem now, but now it's time for the buggy level, where first off, we have to go for all the rangers, and the rangers aren't even trying to throw boomerangs at us anymore. They know they have to escape, and there will also be some cars going throughout the level, which eventually we'll eat. I'm pretty sure they are actually aiming for us, which, hey, in my mind, that means you deserve everything that's coming to you. So after a bit more of these rangers, we can start going for the Dune buggies. Our view expands, and yeah, pretty much the only thing we do start to notice are the Dune buggies, which give us size a lot faster than the humans. I wonder what these guys are here for. Why is there so many Dune buggies here? They don't look like they're going anywhere specifically. They're just having a good time, only to get eaten. Very sad life for them, very good life for me. Now on to number 8, we got amazing, which is going to be the maze level. Now I take a very specific path for this level. First off, we're going to take these koalas, then go back upwards, because you have to go for the smaller stuff first, and thankfully this level is never actually going to change. It's always going to be the exact same thing. So we know these other koalas are going to be over there. Then I can start getting these wombats. Now we're going to be going back over to the left and pretty much just going all throughout this entire maze, slowly but surely, until we skip all those sheep, head over here where there are going to be more of these wombats, grab a couple of those, and finally to finish out the maze part, we can take these sheep, which is going to make us big enough to start going for the fences, and we can use those to get us pretty much all the size we need. Now on to number 9, we have watch out, where there are going to be a bunch of cars, and I don't know if I should be watching out or if they should be watching out. I guess actually they should be watching out because these cars all the time actually run into each other. Like, there are no stop signs here, and the drivers just do not care at all. Literally right there, they just exploded in front of me. What are you talking about, man? And that does kind of suck because if they didn't explode right there, I could have eaten them instead. So please be better drivers for my sake. Still, pretty simple level. We only go for the blue blue stuff. Then we can also start grabbing the red stuff, which will be the tractors. And after getting a bit bigger, we can also start grabbing the trucks. And from there, it's just eat everything until the level's over. When you really think about it, a lot of these levels in this game are very similar, but they never stop being satisfying. It just feels super good to be going very fast, grabbing everything you see. I never really get that bored of it. But in this level, we're going to be going for the camels, and there are also going to be people in helicopters just shooting them. I guess it did say in the beginning that camels were some of the devastating creatures, so it makes sense. But yeah, it's just a matter of who can kill more camels faster. And I'm not gonna lie, these guys are not very good at their jobs, especially now that I'm gonna start eating them too. But obviously that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop hunting the camels too. I mean, they're still a tasty snack, still gives me a bit of size. And with that level done, there's now only 2 more in this world. And for this one, the very first thing we have to start grabbing is gonna be these fences, which we just have to go in a straight line, or at least as much of a straight line as I can. It's kind of hard in this game, okay? Don't judge me. But after getting the fences, then we can also get the tractors, so I will just start grabbing as many of those as possible. And after the tractors are all eaten, then we can get the crops, which is going to very quickly increase our size. Love when you get over to the crops, grabbing as many as possible. And then once we grab all the crops, that's going to be done. On to our last level. Every dingo has its day. So you already know the drill. We're starting right at the beginning where we're going for crickets. Then after the crickets, we can start grabbing things like the beetles, the geckos, pretty much everything coming out. Soon I can also grab the rats, which will be a nice and tasty feast. And after growing even larger, we can start going for the things like frogs. We'll grow once again into a bigger view of the area and see literally all the animals starting to come into view. It of course starts with simple things just like the rabbits, but eventually then we can get the feral goats, grow once again. Now we get tons of fences, and you already know about how I feel about how tasty those fences are, and stationary, so that's also an important part too. Along with bushes, another stationary thing that will be a very easy meal. And all those sheep just thought they were about to be free since I got rid of that fence for them. And I mean, they are free, just also not alive. Now we make it to the even bigger view, even more fences for me to enjoy, along with the cows, which are going to be a nice and tasty snack. And very soon we'll be able to get cars. And not only cars, we can take down entire houses. So everything's going down. But you already know this is when it really starts getting fun with the crops. Crops, of course, give you so much size for so little work because there's just so many next to each other, which makes this very nice. There are helicopters now coming after us, tanks that are now coming after us. It took them long enough, but they finally view me as a threat. Okay, I guess it didn't take them that long. It's only been 5 minutes since we started this level, but we can take out entire buildings and crops and everything in like a second. So all I have to do is look for everything else, get as many houses as possible, and finish off with just getting a couple of these tanks. Looking around for the final few, and it was actually that house that I guess I forgot about, but that's going to be those sets of levels done. So now we're on to the penguin levels. And in this one, the story is that in the future, the polar ice caps have melted and the ecosystems are collapsing, but thankfully there was a mutation in one penguin, so that tiny penguin flies away and its plan is to take back the planet. Now we're going to start in this very simple area of being extremely small, only going for fruit flies and mosquitoes, pretty much the tiniest things you can think about. I don't know why my penguin didn't just like wait a little bit until he was a bit bigger and then maybe come to the city, but I guess in their view there was no time to wait. Still, in this city there are tons of flies flying around. Like, I would hate to be here. Think about how many mosquito bites you would get. I also don't really know exactly what this background is, or at least the first time I saw it I was very confused and a little concerned, but don't worry, it will make sense soon enough. Now we grow a bit bigger, we can see that there are just noodles sitting down and a bunch more flies. They are starting to get bigger. There is going to start being things like butterflies and also some other nice and tasty food that I'm pretty sure someone just threw away. Oh, these are French fries instead of noodles. Pretty much the same thing. Either way, we can get things like butterflies, get all the moths. Literally all these insects have no idea what's about to hit them. And then once we grow even bigger, you see that this entire time it was a brick wall. It really did not look like that when we were tiny, but I guess fair enough. You know, really thinking about it, we used to be an extremely small penguin and we somehow flew all the way over to the city. Like, how long did that take our boy? I'm surprised he was able to survive without any food until then, because I don't think these animals survive very long without food. But we're gonna soon start going for styrofoam containers. Pretty sure that's not the healthiest thing to eat in the world, but I guess has most of the stuff these animals been eating the most healthy stuff in the world? Probably not. But we will grow bigger once again. There's tons of styrofoam that we can start taking, along with these bubble little teacups. Whoever lives in this city, they are the worst litterers in the world. Please, in real life, do not litter. Throw your stuff away correctly, because we do not want a gigantic mutated penguin to start eating us all. And, you know, also because it's just the right thing to do. And finally, after a bit longer, we can go for literal cinder blocks, which that's kind of insane. And now on to this next level, we have tons of bats and also some birds that are going to try to be eating us. Well, trying to eat both us and the bats. I mean, they're going for pretty much anything that can fly. But thankfully, we have all the uneatable stuff on the ground that will help us out and give us a little bit of an edge. Because since we're free to eat cinder blocks, we can gain a lot more size much faster than these birds can. And soon enough, that's going to be very helpful. Because after we eat a few more of those bats, we can go for the cinder blocks. That gives us tons of size, and now literally everything is on the menu. Those birds that were trying to eat me in the past, which I guess are owls, makes sense. Yeah, I'm coming for them now. They can't stop me. Like, they're literally trying to run as far away as possible, but I can also take some cardboard boxes. Now into number 3, and this is one of my favorite levels. You know, I was just talking about please don't litter, but this isn't a game. You know, in real life, don't litter, but when you're trying to go fast, every once in a while, if you're playing a game, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got almost nothing in those trash cans, unfortunately. Anyways, now for this next level, I guess there's 0 gravity. So that's a thing. I mean, it's pretty nice for us because it gives us a lot of freedom to just go around, grab everything. Of course, start with the small stuff, get onto the bigger stuff. Also, these are some very interesting sound effects. I mean, I guess they're realistic sound effects, but not the greatest thing for my ears. But like usual, you already know the drill. Eventually, we can go for the cinder blocks. Then we get an even bigger view of the world and can start going for things like the cardboard boxes. There are also raccoons that are just flying around, so those are interesting. And yes, also air conditioners. What is this world? Why are we in 0 gravity right now? Who set this up? I mean, they did say at the beginning that this is the future, so makes sense, I guess. Anyways, time for when penguins fly. Now you have all these people with hover mobiles, I guess is the best word I could give for them. And yeah, they're just flying around. They do not care what they hit at all. Like, they will ram into us as much as they need to, or any of these birds, they don't even care at all. They just don't even worry about it because at the end of the day, they got to get to work or something like that. Also, you'll see that all the humans in this world are now not even really humans. They're like cyborgs. So I wonder how far in the future this is. It's kind of terrifying. But our plan is to grab as many owls as possible. Until then, we can go for some of the cardboard boxes. That's also going to give us a good amount of size. And then once we're able to eat all of those, we can also get these air conditioners. Like usual, I like them because they're nice and stationary. Then we can head back downwards. There are going to be these garbage bags. And yeah, I guess these people are actually cyborgs now. And they were a nice and tasty treat for me because that gave me a ton of size. And also these people, hey, they're actually running away. Maybe people in the future finally got a bit smarter. When you see a gigantic penguin that's eating literally everything, you shouldn't go towards it. But yeah, since this is the future, these people are also on top of their game. They don't wait for me to eat literally the entire world until they come after me. They're going to start sending the police after me after only 2 minutes. So I actually respect that they're trying a bit harder this time. I mean, it's still not going to matter ultimately because now we're going after these hover cars. And before too long, we're also going to be able to eat the hover police cars. So maybe still a little too little, a little too late. But hey, you got to give them some props for at least trying to kill me. Also, you can see that this world, there is a lot of pollution going on. This sky does not look very great. So hey, my penguin, he's doing what he needs to do in this world. Eventually now we can also go for the hover garbage trucks, get some signs that are on top of buildings, and finally finish out this level with a couple more things. Now on to number 6, where's my jetpack? And there are people who are just riding their jetpacks all over the place. Yeah, I kind of wish we had jetpacks. They look like they're having so much fun, but maybe one day in the future. Anyways, the first thing we do have to get are all these owls, and then eventually we'll get big enough to start eating the raccoons. And basically what you can do is just go from one building to the next. So we'll go ahead, grab raccoons from each and every building, maybe grab a couple of owls, and then wait for them to respawn until we get the next 2. There will always be 2 more raccoons that spawn on these buildings, so they're a very consistent source of food. Like, it's kind of crazy. Gotta love them coming out more and more. They are literally not scared for anything, and I appreciate it. Now, after a bit of those guys, we can start going for the jetpack cyborgs, and I guess Plus, apparently there are some jetpack cyborgs and some jetpack humans. So I guess humans aren't completely extinct in this world. There's just more cyborgs than humans at this point. Now, after a while too, there are going to be all these hover bikes that are coming through, and they'll be a great source of food as well. So we're pretty much just staying up in the sky, trying to grab as many of these guys as possible. They're also pretty fast, so it's kind of hard to chase after them. Instead of chasing, we're usually just waiting for the next one. But here we go. After those guys, another level done. On to number 7. And in this one, it's the sign level. So basically, we have to go from the smaller signs to the bigger ones. And my entire strategy for this level is just use my arrow to see where the next sign is going to be. I'm just going to fly back and forth, trying to slowly but surely get onto the bigger signs, because it's really hard to judge their size without using the arrow. But yeah, probably one of the simplest levels in the entire game. It's literally just go left and right and eat signs. And of course, once we get big enough, a lot more of these signs start becoming part of the menu, and we finish it out pretty easily. Now on to number 8. This is going to be called Rush Hour, where there are just tons of people on hover bikes, tons of people on cars. And yeah, very easy level for us because these people are not trying to go away at all. I said that maybe they were smarter in the future worlds, but they barely are trying to escape. If they are trying to escape, it's a very pathetic way of doing so, not gonna lie. And of course, after grabbing a bunch of the hover bikes, then we can start going for the hover cars, which will make us bigger even faster. And yeah, finish out right there. Nice and easy. Now for number 9, in this one, it wants you to only eat the air conditioners that are currently turned on. Now, unfortunately for the game, that takes a lot of brain power that I really don't feel like using right now. So instead, we're just gonna eat every single air conditioner, and if we get minus points, then we get minus points. Probably the best way of doing this is doing it a little slower and just doing little bursts of speed. That's what I should have done at first. But finally, that's all of them done. I said finally. That didn't take long at all. I don't think finally was the right word for that one. But for this next level, the first thing we're going for are these humans. And this is a very interesting design of the world. I don't really know what these different platforms are. Like, how do they even make this? How is it staying up in the air? I guess the answer is probably, once again, it is the future. So you shouldn't think too much about it. But anyways, we're just going to grab the humans, grab the cyborgs, until we eventually become big enough to start eating hover bikes. And then from here, what we're going to want to do is come to the bottom of the map, because pretty much right here, it's only going to have hover bikes. So it's going to be a great source of food for our boy, just flying in circles pretty much. Now, once we do get big enough, we're going to want to come back to the sky so we can start eating these hover cars, because pretty much at the top of the screen, it's only going to be hover cars. So you just have to pay attention to how big you are, and it's a pretty easy level. On to number 11, which is going to be the sphere level. Now, this level, I really do like. It's going to be this nice sphere where first we have to go for these green cars, or I guess they're more hover garbage trucks now that I actually read it. But yeah, we only want to grab these guys first because they're going to be small enough for us to get. Then we can go to these inner and outer layers, which is going to be the hover buses. And yeah, it's literally just going to be an entire circular sphere. I have no idea how it's comfortable to live in this city. This sounds awful. But I mean, these people won't have to live in this city for too much longer. At least they got that going for them, because now I'm eating all the apartments. And yeah, from here, it's pretty much just go in a circle. As we get bigger, we can get things like the buildings. And yeah, not too much to say. Just keep the circular motion. We can get the factories, and everything is gone in just another minute. On to the last level, we built the city. So we're back down to our tiny penguin self and going for the fruit flies again. Then of course, we'll grow to the bigger size. We can start seeing some bigger butterflies, stuff like that. Also get the bigger amounts of food. Then our third section will show us that this was always a brick wall. And yeah, you already know, we're gonna start eating styrofoam soon. Now on to an even bigger view. We can start seeing the owls. And of course, we're eating all that styrofoam. Can you really blame our boy the penguin? He likes what he likes. Yes, I do agree. It's a little weird what he likes sometimes when he's eating literal cinder blocks. But hey, he is who he is. That's just life. And now onto the even bigger view. This is the part where we start seeing humans, which will start running away very, very soon. They think I'm nothing at this point. They're like, oh, a penguin. He's so cute. I love watching him going and eating all of our wildlife. Actually, this would be really weird to watch. Why is nobody at least like glancing at it? They don't even look up. They're too consumed in their own lives to be like, wow, that is one weird penguin. But to be fair, that is going to be their own downfalls, because now we have gotten even bigger. We can go after things like hover bikes. We can get everything on the ground first, because that's going to be some easy food. And now the police is coming after us. They had a 5-minute response time, not the worst in the world. And I'm just going for all the air conditioners and also just bullying this car. Like, that must be so uncomfortable to drive in when a gigantic penguin is just ramming against you. I don't know, man. I'd probably quit. I'm just leaving my job at this point. There's no stopping this dude. But we have become even bigger. Now, every car is free game. Soon we'll be going for those garbage trucks. And after that, these buildings are going down. Because in this level, just like the B levels, we're going to be getting very big. I mean, I guess that's the advantage you have when you're able to fly. There's no real stopping you. You can get as big as you're willing to eat. So we'll be taking these hover tanks. We'll be grabbing these smaller apartments. And from here, you kind of already know what we're going to do. Just go back and forth, left and right, because nothing else really matters. The hover tanks, those are too easy to eat. What I'm going for is entire cities. And yes, the cities are now made to look like this for some reason, to where they're all floating. I do not know what sort of science is able to do this, but we're going to be going for entire floating islands one at a time. I mean, in reality, what does having a floating island even do for you that having a not floating island wouldn't? Like, are these this special? Should we have invested this much money into this technology? Probably not, because all these floating islands are going right down. And we're on to our last few levels, which is going to be this little guy where basically we're on Mars, and some of the scientists there decided to take back some ice samples. But while they were doing that, somehow we got in, and now we're going to completely murder like the entire universe at this point. Yeah, here's where this game really starts getting crazy. So far, the biggest we've gotten is where we've just eaten like the entire Earth, but we are going to go much larger in this part. Just wait and see. Still, at the beginning, we do start out at our smallest. We're just going for these very tiny molecules. And yeah, we are not big at all. It's literally just sets of 3 molecules that we'll take. Also, I don't know if molecules are actually the right name for this. Please do not get mad at me in the comments. But either way, we're just doing some eating up until we do grow. And now we're going into protons and neutrons. So yeah, this is nice. Gives us some more size even faster. And you can really see just how small we're starting. It's kind of insane we're going from this to what we will be at by the end of the speedrun. But it's pretty easy. All the protons are going to be blue. All the neutrons are going to be red. But that doesn't really matter to us because they're all food at the end of the day. And our boy is going to take advantage of that until we grow again. And now we can see that there are like clusters of these guys and also combinations of the proton and neutrons. Things like oxygen nucleuses. You know, all sorts of stuff. We're definitely getting big onto hydrogen atoms at this point. And there are also things that look like Mickey Mouse ears. I'm sorry, what can I say? I'm a simple person. I just see what I see. Still, the only thing we can get at the beginning are going to be these hydrogen atoms. Meanwhile, everything else is still a bit too big for us until we can actually get the oxygen atoms as well. And they're a big amount bigger, so we like those. And then after that, we can also get the Mickey Mouse ears, which are going to be water molecules. Then after that, we will grow a bit bigger, just seeing some more water molecules all over the place. Not too much changes for that. We're just a bit quicker, which I'm always going to appreciate. And we're pretty much only seeing these water molecules at this point. It's also kind of fun just seeing our little guy change color depending on what he's eating. Nice little effect they added to the game. I really like it. And after that, we are now on to an even bigger level. The water molecules are no longer yellow for us, maybe because we've grown big enough to see them as blue. That's kind of actually interesting when you think about it. The color is based on our own perception because we're literally changing from yellow to blue, even though they are still the same thing. We're just bigger, so we see them as something different. I don't know, there's probably some lore going on in there. Of course, there is also going to be the red stuff, which is iron oxide molecules. And then after that, we're going to grow even bigger where we just see all these water molecules. And this is going to be the end of this level. We can just go back and forth, try to grab as many of these as possible. And you'll see that we are very much increasing our size at a very good amount. And then after that, we go into these, which, yeah, they are just like the easiest stuff possible for us to get. All we have to do is go through all 5 of them. And that's going to be the first level done. On to what's your poison. And in this one, we are not supposed to eat these water molecules, but you already know I don't care about that. We're only supposed to go for the cyanide, I think, because it's important to eat the poison and not the water, but I don't care about that. I'm not paying attention to the lore. Then after that, another goo bites the dust. We can get all these viruses now turning green. Nice new color. This one is a pretty long level. Always nice to have a very short level like the one before this where it's literally less than a minute. But these long levels are also fun too. It is kind of crazy we're still this extremely small though. Like we could probably not be perceived by our own eyes at this point. But then we're going for these dudes, which, you know, they look interesting. I feel like I've seen them before in like a cartoon. I don't know. I have a very weird memory of these things and how they look. I don't exactly know what they are, but they're something. I think bacteria, at least the name that they have, makes it sound like this. I'm really just exposing how bad at science I am. Look, I studied computer science in college. Does have science in the name, but it was not this at all. Then we will start to grow bigger. We can start moving along these orange balls. This is actually probably pretty fun for any scientists in the audience that are paying attention, because you're probably predicting what these next things are going to be. Let me know if you're getting your predictions read in the comments, if anyone is actually doing that instead of just falling asleep to this very long video. And while you're in the comments, also subscribe. I can't believe I've gone this far without even asking you to, but I would really appreciate it. And if you've watched this far, you probably enjoy the content. But for anyone who guessed correctly, it is, I don't even know how to pronounce that word, so I'm not going to try. But that's what this guy was. And we also see these purple things, which are pretty spiky. Spiky is always bad for my little guy. Still, we can start eating them as well. And yeah, I'm just gonna give up on trying to say these names because I'm just gonna make a fool of myself if I even try. Which, I mean, I'm not too much of a stranger of making a fool of myself, but I still try not to do it every once in a while. But yeah, you can really start to see that this level is actually gigantic. We are almost 4 minutes in. We're not even halfway there. And a lot of these levels are actually going to be really long. This definitely is the longest world out of all of them. But don't worry, we're gonna edit out the boring parts, of course. By the way, all that red stuff, that's actually Martian dust. So yeah, we're getting to the point where we can see dust and eat it. You know, our little guy is really getting big at this point. And after that, we see these really big things that look absolutely terrifying. They're just swimming around looking like they're trying to eat me. I mean, they're not really going for me, but I guess he did kind of just eat something. I just want to get to the point soon where I actually see things that I know the names of. Please, game, let me do that. I mean, we should be there soon. Realistically, if we see dust, I mean, we can, as humans, kind of see dust. I mean, not really. I guess we can see dust just in the sense of, like, if there's a pile of dust, we see it. Still, it's something. We're almost into the human world, maybe. And yeah, there are also these really long things now chasing after us. Those are kind of terrifying. But hey, we're doing the best job we know how, trying to keep our little guy as safe as possible. And once we grow a little bigger, what are these things? I'm getting terrified, man. Like, that thing, I don't even want to say anything about it. I don't even know what to say. Probably something very important for science, and I mean, we will see the name of it eventually. Will I be able to pronounce that name? Probably not, but at least we'll be able to see it. You know, that's got to count for something. And it also is definitely chasing after me. I don't know who it thinks it is. I don't think it's realized the journey I've been on to get here, the 7.5 minute journey. And actually, when I say it that way, it's really not that long. But hey, it felt like a long time to me. This is a long time to play one of these levels. But we're now big enough to where we can start eating some of the smaller ones too. Finally starting to get our revenge, and we're almost to the point where we're done with this level. Can we get the sub 10 minutes? I mean, it looks like we can, especially with how quickly we're growing in size every time we eat one of these pink guys. And it looks like with just one more, there we go. That one is done. And now we're on a labyrinth. I'm pretty sure these people actually set this up just for fun for me, because why is there stuff organized in this way perfectly for where it legitimately is a labyrinth? Like, maybe they were just interested in me. They were like, wow, this guy is really growing at a fast rate. So let's make a little maze for him and see if he can complete it. They're very much going to regret that, because I won't forget that you made me go through this maze. I promise you that. And we're starting to get bigger. Some of the things that they've been using to keep me off are not going to work anymore. At this point, if there are any scientists watching me, they're probably terrified. Or maybe this literally was just luck of the draw. They randomly just threw a bunch of stuff down on the floor. It created the perfect maze. If that did happen, that's honestly pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. But anyways, we're onto the bolts now, which gives us a lot of food very quickly. And it's also nice to no longer have to actually play the maze like the humans want us to, because hey, we're not just their test subject. We're our own person with our own feelings or something like that. But I guess not anymore, because we just went from one maze to another. Yep, the more things change, the more they stay the same, because we're just on a completely different maze. Come on, man. At this point, this actually had to be planned. Like, these people had to do this on purpose. Otherwise, they are the luckiest people in the world. I guess the unluckiest, because I do exist and I'm going to be eating them soon. But either way, they're pretty lucky that this worked out like this. But after getting a bit of those, we can start eating these computer chips. Should you just leave computer chips lying on the ground? They seem kind of important, I'm just saying. I mean, I guess they're also leaving all these energy bars on the ground too, so they don't really care about sustenance. Maybe in this future, everybody just has so much stuff that they just don't care anymore. But it is going to come back to bite them, because now we have space snacks, and those kind of sound delicious. They kind of sound like they're a Scooby snack, but in space. Okay, I guess the only real similarity between Scooby snacks and space snacks is just they both are like SS and have snack in the name. But hey, that's enough for me to worry about. Anyways, we are now at the size where we're eating storage containers, so that was really quick. And now we are on the red shirt level, where they say, hey, you red shirt. And that's because a bunch of people in red shirts are trying to shoot me. Probably makes sense since I'm eating eating their robot dogs. But they are shooting each other too. Like usual, the humans are terrible at their jobs. They're terrible shots, and they don't care if one of their comrades is in front of them. They're gonna shoot no matter what has to happen, no matter who has to die. But very quickly, they're gonna see that was a terrible idea, because now we're eating crew members. Yep, I no longer have to be scared of them. Honestly, I was never scared of them. But hey, it gives me a nice red color every time I eat them, so that's kind of fun. Thank you guys for wearing these red shirts and literally nothing else. Like, is this a dress code? Do you have to abide by it? But after getting to the storage containers, that one's nice and easy. On to 6. So we got to start out just by eating some Martian rocks, while there are some astronauts that are going extremely quickly. I have no idea what they're in a rush for, but it's got to be something important. Maybe so they don't die, because they know I'm getting really big at this point. You guys should just leave the planet, but even that's not going to protect you, if I'm going to be completely honest. Still, that would be kind of an idea. It'd probably be kind of smart if you just got into a spaceship now. Maybe you go light years away. Just hope that that will get you away from me. It won't though. Still, you could have that hope. Why are you staying on Mars? It's just not a smart idea. But we'll just eat our last few up to 1 meter. On to level 7, where there's a canine malfunction, and that means the dogs are starting to eat the humans. Just like usual, these humans are very nonchalant about it. They couldn't care less that they're getting eaten by their own robot dogs. But don't worry guys, I'm here to save you and then eat you instead. You can't take my food, it's for me. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that every single robot dog at the exact same time decided to malfunction. Like, was this a malfunction, or was this somebody trying to take power and kill literally everybody on Mars? Really makes you think, but either way, it doesn't matter because I'm here. So nobody had a chance in the first place. Especially once I can start eating these crew members, then we're really gonna gain size and switch to all sorts of fun colors. Always love to see it. And this is another really quick level. After that really long, like 10-minute level, it's nice that the game gave us a little bit of a break, just with these nice fun ones like the maze, going out, getting some fast people, eating some robot dogs, always fun. But now we're on Mars Attack, and we're back to being small. But this is a pretty cool level because almost everything is stationary, so I can just go in the same path that I always take. We start out by getting these crumbs because they're small enough for us to eat. Then we can go on to the even larger crumbs, which is nice as well. They're going to be water droplets. Like, we are very small at this point. Kind of sad how much we lost our size. But hey, I've made this journey before and I will make it again. It's not going to stop me from growing gigantic. So after getting a few of the crumbs, we can get some of these bigger water droplets, go for them as well as the nuts. But this level is a little annoying because the bigger you are, the harder it is to move through the level, since there's so much stationary stuff and we just have to find an open path to actually make it to stuff small enough for us to eat. But as we get bigger, it's obviously going to get easier. We can start getting these capacitors, these bolts, and now we're really on a good path where almost everything is eatable at this point. So yeah, it just starts out when you're small, it's a little bit difficult, but once we get big, it's over for everybody. And then of course we'll grow in size. We'll start seeing things like candy bars. All these computer chips are just the easiest things in the world to eat, and we no longer have to worry about playing carefully. I don't have to take the right path anymore because there's so much space between all the big things. And even better than that, very soon we can start eating the big things. But there are going to be these robot dogs who do not want me to be alive. I guess they're back to actually working with the humans, so whoever made the malfunction happen must have been like, okay, there's a little bit of a bigger threat than my other people on Mars. But that's not going to stop me. We are gaining size incredibly quickly, and soon enough the dogs are just food for me as well. We're starting to see actual humans, of course, being as nonchalant as always. I would say they're going to regret it, but we've seen over and over again that they never actually do regret it. Like, they just don't care. They're just living their lives, and if they die, it happens. At least that seems like how they're living their lives, because we are now onto storage containers. We're almost to the size of their couch. We're eating people at this point. And yeah, now we're just going throughout the entire room. This room is a fun one to get to because there is so much stuff that we can just eat once we get just a tiny bit bigger. Like, you see all these couches, you see all the containers. There we go. We can get these storage containers. That's going to give us a huge amount of size. We can also go more towards the middle of the room, get these planter boxes, get the couches finally. And yeah, we're a big blue guy that's going to eat every single one of you, and you still don't care. But after getting most of that room, we can see that we can actually escape and go back onto Mars, where there's going to be these Martian rocks. Now we got to be kind kind of strategic about this, just going and getting pretty much all the rocks in this general area, because we need a good amount of size before we can move on to things like storage containers. So I'm just making sure I'm not missing a single one of these rocks, making sure we don't miss the compressed gas. And there's also these vehicles, which, you know, I kind of wonder what the humans are doing. Do they actually have a reason to be on Mars, or are they kind of just hanging out? Still, after a bit, we're onto the storage containers, and pretty much from here, it's over for everybody, because the storage containers are tasty. Then we get the rovers. Those are even tastier, and there's so many of them that we're never gonna have to worry about being hungry again. Especially once we grow in size, everything is much smaller. We can start going for the solar panels. You can see that they construct buildings in very weird ways. I don't know if this is the best construction in the world, but hey, I'm not gonna make fun of them, especially because I'm eating their constructions. So that would just be adding insult to injury. But yeah, these Martian buildings that are all circular for some reason, nice and tasty, tons of size to be gotten from them. And then we grow again, we can get the even bigger buildings. You already know how it is. We're about to be off Mars at this point. I mean, not just yet, but I think you can start to see where this game is going to be going very soon. But after a few more tasty inanimate objects, that's going to be 8 done. Now into 9, which is going to be more lasers, because yeah, people are going to try to be shooting us again. Or I guess not even people at this point. It's just the dogs. They want their revenge. They're not going to get it because, I mean, look at me. I'm almost their size already. I am their size already. It's been like 20 seconds. They never stood a chance. And from here, it's just eat the dogs. We even grow in size to where we can move much faster, and there will be some humans trying to shoot us at this point. Maybe you should have been working with the dogs at the beginning instead of letting them do all your dirty work. You might have had a chance if you worked together, but now it's gone, and it's gone forever. Still though, they're doing one last try where now they're bringing out the rovers. They're gonna start trying to shoot us as well. They just never learned their lesson. Run, try to get off the planet, guys. You still have a chance. But the humans in this world have never been that smart to take chances like that. So there you go. You can only really blame yourself at that one. Anyways, oh my gosh, it's this level. Okay, so for this, we just start out by eating tons of crew members and going back and forth, because they're gonna keep coming from these hallways that we can't go into the additional hallways. So I'm literally just going left and right. I come back here, I grab a couple of people, and we can just keep taking them from these individual places. They don't stop coming. Then we can start going for the compressed gas, things like that. There's going to be the storage containers, all the sofa chairs. Thank you guys for being such tasty meals for me. And with only a few more of these eats, we should be able to access the outside door soon. Just got to eat enough people, and then that's an option. And now we're literally in space. Yeah, it's over for you guys here, because you can see how quickly we're gaining size, and it's already done. It's already done. And now we're on to 11, where yeah, we start at the size of stars, and I do not know what those things are that kind of look like sea animals and are maybe trying to kill me, but it doesn't matter. We're eating entire stars at this point. We skipped the planets. We're on to stars. I mean, obviously we will be coming back to the planets. Don't worry, I'm going to be dealing with a lot of those guys, but this is just a little bit of a hint of what's to come for this final level of the speedrun. Now, after gaining a bit of size, we can start eating these guys, which they're called space manta rays. Maybe we shouldn't try to space travel and things like that. Maybe it's a little too dangerous, just saying. Anyways, we are on to the very last level of the speedrun, the final one of the main levels, and you can see we are starting from the absolute smallest point we even can. And yeah, this is going to be the greatest victory lap of all time. Now, at our first getting larger point, that's probably not the best way of describing it, but anyways, the first time where our area kind of gets expanded, you'll see we only have a very small amount of this level done. That's how long this level is going to be. There is so much stuff to do, but it does make sense since we have to go from the absolute smallest being all the way to something that can devour entire stars. Yeah, this one's gonna be fun. So like usual, for the stuff we've seen, I'll just give you like little points when we make it there, like this one where we're going for the oxygen and hydrogen nucleuses. Then after that, we're on to things like hydrogen atoms and all this other stuff that's yellow. Soon we'll be to the point where we only see water molecules, and then those water molecules turn blue, or at least our perception of them turns blue. I still have no idea why this happens like this. I mean, they're water molecules, so they should be blue, you know, just from like an idea standpoint, but they were yellow before. Then after that, we're in this huge area where we can just get tons of water molecules one after the other. Very quick way of gaining some size. You can just see how many nanometers we're getting per second. What a beautiful part. Then we get these entire chunks, and that is one of my favorite parts. Just so satisfying to do. Before now, we're at this point. So yeah, it's going to be all these bromo viruses, and of course the yellow things, which I still can't remember what show I remember these from, but I have some sort of specific memory in my brain somewhere. Cannot tell you where it is, cannot tell you if I'll ever find it, but there is something. And you know, about 7 minutes into this level, and we've made some pretty good headway. Of course, how these levels work though is they are exponential, so it starts out very slow getting your size, but then as you get bigger, you complete the level even faster. And finally, we get to the point where we actually see dust molecules. You know, we're almost there. We can almost start eating humans. We're coming. It's kind of crazy because in some of these earlier final levels, at the 10-minute point, we would be done with them, but we're not even a fourth done with this one. They really pulled out all the stops for this very last main level, which, hey, I appreciate, even if it makes me very, very exhausted. And after a bunch of eating, we're now back onto the level where there are these pink things. I still don't know what they are. I still don't really want to know, and I'm still kind of terrified of them. But I'm pretty sure after we get past this level, we're almost to the point where we can see like the floor and stuff. So that'll be cool. See all the candy bars that the scientists just litter on the ground? They're not great people. I guess I say that as I'm literally eating the entire universe. But you know, I'm doing it for a good reason. Maybe. For speedrunning's sake. That's important, right? But there we go. Finally, we can see crumbs and stuff. It feels good. And it's the same level as last time, where we're just going to take our same general path that I always take, just gathering the smaller crumbs first, getting to the bigger ones. Then after that, we can start eating things like water drops, and things like nuts start becoming fair game as well. Still a little cramped in this room, I gotta say. Gotta find the right path every time. But we very much are growing in size. Everything is starting to become available to us. And yeah, we might be 16 minutes into this level, and literally only 1.3 centimeters big. But you know, we're getting there. It's a process. And hey, we are now finally starting to gain some size quickly. Everything is starting to work out. And here's where I really start enjoying this level, where we're just consuming everything. No more thinking, only consume. Circuit boards, candy bars, and even soon the robot dogs, they're all going in our mouth. Actually, does our little guy even have a mouth? Probably not. I think we're just like absorbing everything. But you probably already know our next plan. We just got to get big enough to where we can escape this facility, and we'll be going on into the entirety of Mars, which it is very, very easy to eat everything that this room has to offer us. I mean, nice and big, nice and tasty. We're now up to 1.5 meters. These scientists do not know what's hitting them, and we're on to Mars now. We can go for Mars rocks. Same little strategy as before. Try to grab as many rocks as possible, not miss a single one. Before we reach the size of storage containers, rovers, pretty much everything that we're gonna want to eat. And entire buildings are not gonna be very far away. Look, to be fair, if they didn't make these buildings so delicious looking, I probably wouldn't eat them. Okay, that's actually an extreme lie. I would have eaten them regardless. But you gotta put some blame on the scientist at least. And soon everything is on the menu. Every single big Martian building. And we're also starting to see entire hills. So yes, these hills will be some of our next snacks, as well as Martian craters. I'm not exactly sure how you can eat a crater, but we're doing it. Going from hills and craters and all that stuff, they're getting even bigger at this point. So it's another one of these games of just finding the smaller stuff and working our way up. Then we will expand our size again. There's some more stuff. I don't exactly know what those bone-like structures are. I mean, obviously I've seen them before and eaten them before, but I'm not exactly remembering their name. I guess we will find out in literally like a minute. Oh yeah, they're entire mountains. We are eating Martian mountains at this point. Very interesting looking mountains, but that's not going to stop me from eating. And then we grow even bigger, just these gigantic mountain ranges. We can see there's a bunch of snow at the very top of Mars that we'll be coming for as well very soon. But we'll take as many mountains as possible. Then we'll get the polar caps, both of them. Now we can go for asteroids. So at this point, our strategy is to grab a bunch of these asteroids before we go for some of the smaller planets. We just got to make sure we're a fairly big size, and there are tons of asteroids before we go down to Mercury. After that, we get Mars, we get Venus, Earth, Earth. Yes, in a very short amount of time, we just ate like 4 planets. So that was fun. Then we can come back out, get Uranus, get Neptune, as well as Saturn and Jupiter. The sun, still a little too painful to deal with, but we're now on to star level. And it is very insane that we still aren't even 3/4 done with this level. You can see we're gonna get very much bigger. At this point, I'm not even sure which one of these stars is our sun. It's probably been eaten already, if I'm gonna be completely honest, but kind of feels bad. I mean, I like the sun. It's a nice guy, but I guess there is no being nice in this game. You just gotta eat. And you gotta eat fast. Oh, by the way, our score is over 100,000 at this point, which is insane. And we are also 25 minutes in the level. I mean, we are getting to the very last points of it very quickly. I mean, you do have to consider what is going to come after stars. There isn't much, but there is still a couple things that we'll still be able to eat. Like, for example, these purple and green things. You guys look tasty, and I'm coming to you very soon. And they're both actually nebulas. Not sure why some are purple and some are green. Maybe it's just to add some different colors to the game, or maybe that's actually how they work in real life. I have no idea. All I know is the unit we're on to is AU. I don't even know what that unit is, but we're getting a lot of AU very quickly, just going from nebula to nebula. Then after nebulas, we will start to see those gigantic space manta rays coming around, and these guys are big. Like, they are very big, but I mean, also give me like 2 minutes and I'll be up to their size. You know, actually, did that even take 2 minutes? I don't think it did. We are going from as tiny as possible to a universe destroyer in less than 30 minutes. It's insane, but don't think I'm gonna stop just yet. Even though these space manta rays do look very tasty, there's still so much more to eat, as you can see by how not full our bar is. So we'll grow in size once again, still going for nebulas, but we are almost to the point where we're done with them. You can also see these big glowing white lights, and those, of course, are going to be star clusters. Yep, we're no longer eating stars. We're onto their clusters, man. It's kind of crazy our little guy doesn't even want to take a break at all. He's hungry. He never stops being hungry. And then we get to this point where we have to be very specific using our arrow to know where to go, because we have to eat galactic dust, and we have to start on just the very edges of this galactic dust. We grow size extremely slowly. Okay, I guess it is really quickly. You can see how big my number is going up, but still, it feels very slowly because you have to be very precise about it, at least at the beginning, just going for the tiniest little bits. But then eventually, after just a little bit more, we're starting to gain some size. Some more things are becoming available to us, and then it starts getting a little bit more exponential. Pretty much everything is starting to be able to be consumed. All this galactic dust. Then with just a little bit more time, there we go. It's pretty much over for that entire thing, and we've grown even bigger. We're now eating galaxies. Yes, it does not stop at stars. It doesn't stop at star clusters, and it won't stop at galaxies. I can already tell you. Kind of fun that some of these are elliptical galaxies and some of these are spiral galaxies, you know, giving us a little bit of distinction between the two. And after a few of those, we can start grabbing galaxy groups. I didn't even know that galaxies did group up. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. It's kind of hard to imagine how big our little guy actually is at this point, like lore wise, because we still see him as a little guy. I mean, he's just a little guy on our screen, even though he's much bigger than anything we could ever comprehend. Oh yeah, by the way, no longer on galaxy groups. We're on to galaxy clusters. What's the difference between a cluster and a group? I have no idea. Probably just a group of galaxy groups is what it is, I'd imagine. Oh yeah, there are also super clusters, which are probably even more clusters, but there we go. That's what I was talking about. We're now big enough to where there's just this spaghetti guy and he's chasing after us. Yeah, I have no idea what this game is, but you know what? We're still gonna complete it. And don't worry, we will get big enough to exact our revenge on him. He's thinking he's gonna chase after us. He's kind of slow, to be completely honest with you. But we're almost up to his size. There we go. We got the Noodly Monster was his name. Now we're just on to all of these super clusters where we're going from the smaller ones. We basically keep going out. We keep getting more and more super clusters. And then after we get every single one of them, we're eating entire universes. But we're also back to the very start of the level. What started as the smallest possible thing is now the biggest possible thing, which, you know, I think is kind of a fitting ending. Kind of sad we're ending entire universes in less than a second, I mean, hey, at least we're getting bigger. And with just a few more of these tasty meals, that is going to be the end of the last level and a time of 4:13:28, which is going to be a world record. All right, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.